All right, looks like we have the YouTube stream started, and hi, Mr. Christ. Yeah, trying to do better about getting people over to the YouTube and letting people know about the Discord in case they want to join, those kinds of things. Um, oh, thanks for the support right out the gate, Mr. Christ. I appreciate that. The tapping the screen, sharing, sending gifts, all that. I sincerely appreciate it. Go here. Okay. All right. So yeah, hopefully we can have a good stream. I appreciate um, all the liking and the tap or whatever, the tapping and the liking and the sharing and the gifting and all that stuff. It's sincerely appreciated. Um, I am a moral realist. And if by the moral argument you mean the moral argument for God, I think it's self-defeating. The second premise, the person presenting the moral argument will have to defeat the argument in order to support the second premise. Either they don't refer to God when they support the second premise, in which case they've disproven their own first premise, or they do refer to God when they demonstrate the second premise, and that makes the argument circular. And obviously, no circular argument should be compelling. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some good conversations. Um, like I said, just trying to give people the opportunity or the information, knowledge about the YouTube channel and the Discord. Um, we'll see if anybody's interested in either of those things. But the goal is to build up the YouTube a little bit and not only be able to post more videos and stuff over there, but that also kind of opens some doors as well. Starting to get a following over there. So if you guys are able to go over there and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. If not, obviously nobody's obligated, so no worries at all. Oh, thanks, Lupine. But yeah, looking to have some good faith linear conversations this evening. The goal, as always, is to have, like I said, good faith linear conversations with folks who are 18 plus and that have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. No, I don't think any arguments for God are compelling. Um, like there are arguments for God that are twisty and slippery. Yeah, the real goal is 1,000,000 likes. Yeah. Yeah, if I don't get 1,000,000 likes tonight, then I know that you guys suck. It's all your fault. um yeah, tag is trash. No, there are some arguments that are difficult to defeat. Like there are some Thomistic arguments that are so, like, I don't know, slippery, I guess is the best way I would describe them, that they are difficult to defeat, but that doesn't make them compelling. It just makes them, they're just designed to be logical puzzles and be as easy to equivocate on as possible. But yeah, we have over 100 people in here, nobody requesting. I would assume that some of the folks in here are adults who believe in God and would want to defend that position. I'm hoping that that there are folks who actually have some kind of argument or evidence. So yeah, feel free to request up. Guest box is open. I don't really have I don't have like anything planned to do or talk about. So hopefully we can have some good conversations. But we shall see. Um, 1 second. Really? All right. But yeah, the requirements are that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Izu, how old are you?
40.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do.
Cool. Which one?
Love.
I'm sorry?
Love. You asked me which God do I believe in?
Okay, love is not a god. Love is an emotion. So what god do you believe in?
You want me to repeat it?
I mean, hey, if you don't want to actually give a real answer, I can just move on to the next person. That's fine with me. Your call.
That was a real answer.
Okay, well, like I said, love is an emotion. If you think that there's a God that's identical with love, obviously it would have to have other properties because I believe in love, but I don't believe in God. So clearly there's some disconnect there. Either you can take this last opportunity to elucidate what you're talking about, or I can move on.
Sound very hostile.
Fair enough. Not hostile. Just don't have the patience for bullshit, right? I'm not here to fuck around. I'm here to actually have the conversation. If all you want to do is fuck around, then that's fine. You just don't have to be here. No problem. Okay. All right. So yeah, like I said, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Um, uh, Elias, does host know analytic philosophy? I know a tiny little bit about philosophy, not much. Um, but yeah, we'll move on and see if we can actually have a conversation with somebody who's actually interested in engaging. Thanks for the follows. Thank you for the likes and all the support, everybody. Thank you, Bradley Cooper, Zay, um, Angry Antitheist, both sides, Biscotel, Lupine, Mr. Christ. Damn, I didn't see that a bunch of people were already supporting. Thank you, everybody. Looks like we already have almost halfway to the heart meat goal, so that's cool. Thank you. Okay. Hi, JT. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Cool. And do you believe in a God? Oh, are you driving?
No, my brother is just delivering food.
Oh, okay. Have him say hi.
He's actually delivering the food like right now. He's not in the car.
Well, then the blinker wouldn't be on.
Yeah, he put the hazard lights on because he's dropping off the food.
Okay. Come back when you're not in a car. Thanks. I mean, I don't know if you're driving or not, but I also don't know. Like, that person that was on here yesterday, Brian, got like kicked immediately by TikTok just for one puff on a thing. So I don't know how strict I need to be. Not really worth it. Okay, um, we get it, folks. I'm fat. We get it, right? Like you don't need to keep repeating it. I'm already aware that I'm fat, so I don't know what you think you're doing by pointing out that I'm fat. I'm fat. Like, look at me. I know that I'm fat. This isn't news. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I've said that so many times it's like automatic now. Brondo, no, this is Demon Piss. Hi, Kayla. How old are you?
Hello, I'm 19.
Cool. Do you believe in a God?
Um, okay, so what you mean by a god? Uh, do you
Typically,
mean by like Jesus Christ, or do you mean like just like God, how like a Bible um describes a god, or are you talking about in just a rhetorical sense?
well, I have three things right now. When were you born?
I was born in 2000
That took way too long.
and
All right, you sound like a child. That took way too long. I'm moving on. Uh, and then I was going to ask for the background noise to be turned down, and then I was going to get into, uh, you know, God definitions. But yeah, that sounded like a child. And yeah, okay. So yeah, again, if you are in the guest queue requesting currently or thinking about requesting, it is important that you are 18 plus, that you also have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Okay, so I do have a YouTube. I'm not very good at like promoting it or whatever, but I'd love to get some more follows over there. Basically nothing, but I've been posting a couple of videos and hope to do more. So that's up on the screen, Ogar Debates. and also started a Discord, which you could find by just going to tinyurl.com/ogardebates. Both ways that we can connect, that you can stay more up to date on when I'm streaming, when I post videos, and also, especially the Discord is an opportunity to kind of build community. And I'm currently on my philosophy journey right now. Hey, Poopman Jones, good to have you as always. I'm on my philosophy journey right now, kind of working towards starting to learn a lot more about philosophy. And the Discord is a place where obviously I can talk about my thoughts and arguments I'm working on, and get feedback from folks, and answer questions, whatever. Like, we can all work together towards the common goal of education, growth, development, those kinds of things. So I just want to plug that and move on to the next person. Okay, so again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God. And also, if I didn't already say it, hey, Obelisk, good to have you as always. Hi, asshole. How old are you?
Nigger, 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 nigger,
Nah,
nigger,
that's
nigger.
about the best that you can expect. I love the pompadour, Poopman Jones. Curious. Frustrating. Okay. Yeah, no, I completely agree. People who try to come up here and basically they come up here, try to get the live restricted by spewing hate speech. Obviously not something that I support. I remove those folks as quickly as I can when they come up here. Unfortunately, there's also nothing that I can do about it. I don't have any screener or whatever. Yeah, people suck. But well, I'm glad to hear that, Nico. I appreciate to have you here. Or appreciate having you here. I don't know why I said it a weird way before. I'll just put this back up for a little bit while I'm chatting, but just waiting for folks to join. The the goal here is to have honest, good faith, linear conversations about whether or not there is rational justification to believe in a God. Obviously, my position is that there is no rational justification for the theistic position, but hey, I used to believe that there was, and now I believe that there isn't, because I am willing to change my position. Similarly, if somebody gives me justification to believe in a God, I will change my position again. Oh my God, you guys! I'm so lucky that I have people in the chat to let me know that I'm fat and that I shave my head. Man, how would I ever know about being fat and shaving my head? Oh, Muslims are always, well, not always, very consistently, Muslims are much more respectful than Christians. Yeah, I have a beard. I'm fat. I shave my head. What else? I wear dumb shirts. um, but yeah, yeah. So if you are in the chat and think that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God, feel free to request. The guest box is open and empty currently, so I'd be happy to have some folks come up and have the conversation. Yeah, as I said, I used to be Christian. And backwards doesn't go in the. Oh, I don't know how any. Are you talking about this thing? Do it like that. Is that a good placement? Okay. But yeah, like I said, don't currently have anybody requesting. Just hoping that we can have some good conversations. What do I put this over here or something for now? I don't know where it needs to be. I can't see what you guys see. Yes, Jay. This is okay. Now we gotta. This is an IT crowd shirt. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Yeah, absolutely. Made in the UK. If you know, you know. Yes, Fave. saying God bless you and Jesus loves you is disrespectful. But yeah, I'm honestly quite surprised. We have like 130 people in here, and not a single theist willing to request up and actually provide support for their position. So yeah, I guess we'll take that to mean that we won, right? The atheists won. The theists know that they don't have any support for their position. Do I respect Christians? Sure, there are definitely Christians that I respect. I don't respect Christianity, right? I don't respect irrational beliefs, but I can respect people who have irrational beliefs. The age limit here is just 18 plus. Obviously, I prefer to talk to older, people who are closer to my age than 18. But I mean, it kind of is what it is. When I went 21 plus for a while, all that happened was that there were a couple younger folks who I didn't get to talk to, and then it didn't get rid of any of the trolls. It didn't get rid of any of the frustrating conversations. It didn't make it feel like I had any higher level of maturity in the stream. So I just went back to 18 plus because it was useless to just go 21 plus. But yeah, looks like we just have people angry in the chat, but nobody actually willing to defend their position. Interesting. But we'll see. Oh, maybe we do actually have a taker. I guess we'll find out. I'm not going to hold my breath, but hey, maybe we'll have a good conversation. Just make sure if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Corn Dog. How old are you?
Fuck you, nigger.
Yeah, that's about what I figured. It's about the best that you can get from theists, or close to it. Hi, Nine. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Do you believe in a God?
Yes, I do.
All right, which one?
I believe in Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Well, to be honest, I would say my faith, right?
No,
But
I'm looking for rational justification, not just saying that you believe it because you believe it. Faith is when what you say when you don't have a reason or when you don't want to give a reason. When I'm actually asking for a reason.
right. Well, I guess I can't.
Okay, so you're saying that your position, your belief in God is irrational?
Maybe just faith.
So your position is irrational, you're saying?
I think so.
Okay. Do you think that holding irrational beliefs is a good way to understand the world accurately and your place in it?
I mean, probably in my case, Yeah.
Oh, for you irrationality works, but not for other people?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what makes you so special?
Well, I just want to be different,
Okay. All right. Well, you're not a very
Yeah.
good troll, so maybe come up with something a little bit better next time. But yeah, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Just trying out irrationality. Thank you, KC, for the drum hamster. That's fucking awesome. I fucking love that. That's so cool. We'll pop this up here. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Bear, both sides, Poopman Jones, Serial, Lem, Mr. Christ, Bradley Cooper. Thank you all so much. Genuinely, I do appreciate it. All right. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to the next guest, see if we can have a good conversation. Hi, Luna. How old are you?
Hi, I'm 30.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
No, sir. Just wanted to say appreciate what you're doing. Really enjoy your content.
Well, I appreciate that, and I hope you have a good one. Hopefully, if I'm lucky,
Bye.
you'll hang out for a while.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, so yeah, if you're in the guest queue, make sure that you do believe in a God, that you're 18 plus, and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for your theistic position. Hi, Aiden. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Do you believe in a God?
No, I don't, but I do have some things to say still because you're not getting anyone who actually has any evidence.
Well, I'm not going to get anyone who has any evidence ever because there isn't any evidence. But if you change your mind and believe in a God and you want to come back and present an argument, I'll be
All
here.
right, let me say something.
No, we're just doing debates. I appreciate it though. Well, by golly gee, I do have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@ogardebates. You can also join my Discord, which is simply tinyurl.com/ogardebates. Try not to just leave that up all the time. I don't think TikTok likes that very much when you do that anyway, but I've been getting advice from a lot of folks in here and elsewhere to make sure that I actually plug that stuff. Otherwise, people don't know about it. But yeah, anyway, we'll try to see if we can have some good conversations. Maybe we'll get one tonight. No, it hadn't been there the whole time, Willie. I just popped it up there because you mentioned about it or asked about it. So I figured it's a good opportunity. I believe morals are objective because I think that the truth maker of moral claims are the truth makers of moral claims are natural facts. So whether or not a moral claim is accurate or true saying whether or not a moral claim is true is saying whether or not it aligns with certain natural facts. Thanks, Quigley, for the support. You're good, Willie. You're good. Hi, Gain. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do believe in God. Not the way it was presented, but I guess one question that I do have is that you do say that nobody really ever pulls up with evidence to prove that there is a God. But just like you say that, do you have evidence that there isn't a God?
Yeah, I think there are lots of good arguments for why we shouldn't believe in gods. Which gods?
Okay, arguments and evidence are two different things, correct?
No. Nope.
They're not. Arguments and evidence are not two different things?
Well, it depends on what you mean. Like, arguments are a type of evidence. So in that sense, arguments are evidence. Now, are there types of evidence that aren't arguments? Absolutely. So in that sense, there are types of evidence that aren't arguments, but a good argument is evidence. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry that the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours, but I wasn't able to hear what you're saying because I was still talking. And it's so weird how, as I was pointing out that you just interrupted me, you decided that the best thing to do in the middle of me saying that was to interrupt me again. Maybe since you said that you're 26, you could start acting like an adult and, show everybody that you actually know how to have a conversation. So which God do you believe in?
Okay, my apologies for interrupting. Won't happen again. I believe in the Christian God. That being said, I would like you to provide an argument that could be seen as evidence.
Yeah, sure. So do you understand? Do you know what evidence is? Let me just make sure that we're on the same page.
Proof of something is existence, I guess. So evidence, nope. Or like to say something that happened. No. Something that leads you that tells a story of how something actually took place.
Yeah. So proof and evidence are very different things. They do not overlap the way that arguments and evidence do. So you're definitely it sounds like you just don't understand what evidence is, which is fine. It's not a thing that a lot of people know about. What evidence actually is just any data or information that can raise the probability of a given hypothesis or a given, claim. And then what that also means is that, at the same time, it would be lowering the probability of the claim's negation. Right? So that's what evidence is, just anything that raises the probability of a claim being true. And obviously, if there's a good argument that has true premises, follows a valid inference rule, and so we know that the conclusion is true, that can definitely provide very strong evidence for a position. So just trying to explain exactly what we're talking about when we talk about evidence and why I'm saying that arguments are a kind of evidence. So
okay, so are you done?
I was going to move into the...
You're doing this kind of monologue thing, dude. It's one is semantics because you're saying what I said, proof and evidence. You saying finding anything that raises the probability of something being more likely is the same thing as proof. I don't know where the semantics is coming from.
No, proof is a mathematical concept, right? I'm not talking about math.
Why would you bring up math in the religious?
Right. Okay. That's why I'm saying that we shouldn't be talking about proof because that's a mathematical concept. We should be talking about evidence, which is why that's all I talked about. And the only reason that I mentioned anything about proof was that when I tried to confirm whether you know what evidence is, you responded with something about proof. And so I'm just trying to explain the difference.
In response to my question of you to provide an argument that is seen as evidence, like I would like you to give an argument because you're trying to say that arguments and evidence are synonymous. So I'm asking you to provide an argument that can be seen as conclusive as evidence.
Okay, so again, here's what's happening. You're moving the goalposts, and the reason that I went on my semantic monologue, as you put it, was so that you couldn't accuse me of moving the goalposts. So what I'm trying to do is set out clearly, before we get into this, exactly what it is that you're asking me to do, so that I know for sure that what I'm attempting to do will achieve what you're asking me to do. And that way, later, if you say that I haven't achieved it, I will have already been able to confirm that I know that I am doing what you're asking me to do. And if you say I didn't, you're moving the goalposts. So I'm just trying to confirm exactly what you're asking me for, so that I'm not providing something else.
It's the same thing that you've
So
been
you just
asking
keep
everybody else
interrupting
who's
me.
calling
You just keep interrupting me every fucking time that I talk. I don't know what your issue is.
Ask me a question, let me answer.
No, I didn't ask you a
The thing
question.
that you're trying
What
to
was
get
the
me to
question that I
provide
asked you?
You just asked me. You're trying to see what I'm trying to get you to try to do. That's what you just said.
No, no, I
just in
didn't ask you a
case, if
question.
I
What was
go
the
back-
question that I asked you?
Just now?
Yeah, what was the question? Because I don't remember asking a question. In fact, I pretty specifically remember
You
not
said,
asking
I
a
want to
question.
know what it is that you're trying to do. Is that like, I guess that can be a declaration. You can declare that. Of
Yeah, I
course.
didn't ask you a question. What I said was the reason I went on what you called a monologue was to make sure that we're on the same page about what the intention is, what the path the conversation is should be taking moving forward. That's all I was trying to do. I'm not asking you a question. I'm giving you some clarification.
Okay. So I'd like some clarification. I guess what I've been trying to do to help you clarify. Just like you, whoever comes in here for this live, you're saying, "Hey, yo, you need evidence to prove that God exists."
Nope, I never say proof.
Oh my! I said, okay, evidence. You're asking for evidence that God exists. I'm asking you to provide the same thing that He doesn't exist.
Yeah, and right as I was about to do that, you interrupted me to complain about my monologue.
Okay, can you do it instead of complaining?
Yeah, as long as you stop interrupting me, like I said, that's where I was going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present an argument premise by premise. I'll give you a premise. If you agree with it, I'll move to the next one. If you disagree with it, we can discuss why and whether or not I can motivate you to agree with it. Does that make sense?
How exciting. That's exciting. Let's go.
Fantastic. Premise 1, God has a mind. Agree or disagree?
Is this evidence for why He's not real?
So you don't want to engage? You don't want me to give the argument?
That's a question. You just asked me a question. I told you to give me evidence. You're asking me a question now.
Yeah,
if God has a mind that's not evidence. What is this?
So I just got done explaining this, and you said that you were on board with it. I said I'm going to give you an argument premise by premise. After each premise, I'm going to confirm with you whether you agree with it. If you do agree with it, I'll move to the next one. If you disagree with it, I'll attempt to motivate it and tell you why I think you should agree with it. You said that that was fine, so then I went to do exactly that, and as soon as I did, I gave the first premise and did exactly what I said I would do, which was confirm with you whether you agree with it or not, and then you bitched about it as if you didn't listen at all to what I had just said that you had just agreed to.
God has a mind.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, God has a mind. Premise 2, minds have either changing mental states or only one unchanging mental state. Do you agree?
Minds that have, yes, I agree.
Okay, yep. And then premise 3, change only occurs in time.
Change only occurs in time. I mean, I guess, yeah, sure.
Okay, fair enough. Premise 4.
Can change occur outside? Like, yeah, I guess, yes.
Well, I'm saying that change cannot occur outside time.
Okay, yeah, okay, I agree.
Okay, cool. And then premise 4, God is outside time.
God is outside of time? No.
Yeah. Okay, you think God is inside of time?
I think God created time. I don't think being outside of time and inside. I don't think the way that you're kind of like you're describing time, or like your relationship to time is very human, and like the way like you're saying outside of time, and that's not really like a concept that a human can actually visualize. And like that's kind of the point with religion in the first place. So I mean, like when you say, does he exist outside of time? I feel like he is the time. Like that's a loaded question.
Okay, so it's either the case that God is in time or it is not the case that God is in time. That's
But
just
it's
the
not,
law of
because
excluded
that's your
middle.
perception.
No, it's just logic. So are you rejecting logic?
I'm rejecting the way you come to these. I reject your logical reasoning.
Okay, are you rejecting the law of excluded middle?
I'm not.
Okay,
I
so the
don't
law
know
of
the law of
excluded
excluded
middle,
middle.
the law of excluded middle says either
Okay.
A is true or A is not true, and there's no third option. So either it's true that God is in time, or it is not true that God is in time. If it's not true that God is in time, then God is obviously outside of time. So either God is in time or God is outside time. Those are the only two options due to the law of excluded middle, which you said you're not rejecting. So which of those positions do you
I
take? That
didn't
God
say
is
I
in
wasn't
time or
rejecting it because I
outside of
didn't
time?
know what it meant. And I'm saying he is time. There is no you can't just put me in a box just because that fits with your I guess logical reasoning. And I just because I have a whole entire different logical reasoning as far as, and it's not even, you can't even call it really logical just because it is religious and a lot of it does is applied on faith.
Okay, so
But
just
at the same
define
time,
time.
you asking
Just define
like
time.
how time is like humans didn't
Yeah,
create time.
what I need you to do, Gain, is define time.
You define it.
You're saying that your God is identical with something, but you don't even know what the thing is that God is identical with?
Okay, but like everybody knows what time does. So
Okay,
I
so
just know that you have
define.
some
Give
bit
me
of
the
semantics
definition
in
of.
there.
Give me the definition
know-
of time that you're using, so that I understand if there's where the disconnect
You're
is.
the one who brought up time. You're saying the one that I'm using, and you're saying does he exist inside of time or outside of time? There's time everywhere. Time keeps going. There's time. There's history, and there's the future. Like you're being very one-dimensional with time, two-dimensional, I guess, with time. I'm
Okay,
saying
well,
God
there's a
is
very
the time.
easy argument that we can give here. If God is not outside of time, then that means that God is inside of time. And if God is inside of time, then God did not create time. If God didn't create time, he didn't create the universe. But if God exists, he did create the universe. Therefore, God doesn't exist.
God created time. What? That's not evidence. Wait, say that whole entire thing. What you just said again.
Yeah, you're saying that God is not outside of time, which means God is inside time. Oh, well, unfortunately, you have violated hate speech, and apparently I need to get rid of you. I don't know what that's about, but I don't know what just happened. If anybody wants to check on the YouTube, you can see the alert that just came up that there was hate speech. I don't know what to do other than drop them. But yeah, so I have no idea, Gain. I'm not the one that said it. I got a warning from TikTok that I had to remove you. I apologize. Maybe you request again, and we can see if bringing you back up doesn't create any problems. Hopefully. I didn't hear you say anything hateful. I'm just trying to comply because I don't need my stream taken down. If you request again, Gain, I will bring you back up. I have to wait till tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, if Gain requests, I'll bring him back up. Oh, okay, he did. All right. Just trying to comply with the TikTok overlord, so
It's
I don't
cool.
get my shit
Yeah, I
taken down.
understand. It's
But
fine.
what I'm trying to talk about here is just what time is, so that I know that we're not talking past each other. Oh, I gave an argument. So you said that
Yes.
God isn't outside of time. What that would mean is that because of the law of excluded middle, that means God is inside of time. And obviously, if God is time, then that means God is inside of time. If God is inside of time, then God did not create time. If God did not create time, God did not create the universe. But if God exists, then God did create the universe. Therefore, God doesn't exist.
Okay, there's one flaw with that whole entire thing, and it started at the beginning. And you said that I said that God is inside of time. I told
No,
you he created.
you said that
You're just
God
not
is
accepting
time.
that as an answer.
You said that God
That's what I
is
said.
time.
That's what I said.
Mhm.
You said, but you
So
said
if God
just now
is
that I
time,
said
hold on,
that
Gain.
God is
I'm
inside of
explaining
time.
it. I'm explaining it. If you stop talking, if you can like just take a couple of deep breaths and calm down a little bit, so you don't have to talk a million miles a minute and feel like you're running a race, we can get through it. I promise. So you're saying God is time. That means that at the very least, God experiences the passage of moments. Experiencing the passage of moments is what I would call inside time. So I'm saying God is inside time if he experiences the passage of moments. If he is time, he experiences the passage of moments. So he's inside time based on your definition, or calling him, saying that he is time, that he's identical with time. If so, what I'm saying is that if God is identical with time, then he's in time. If God is in time, then he couldn't have created time. If God didn't create time, then he didn't create the universe. However, if God exists, then God did create the universe. Therefore, God doesn't exist through the power of modus tollens.
So you're saying because that you think that he didn't create time, he didn't create the universe because he would have to follow by that timeline that he's living in. Is that, I'm just trying to get the understanding?
What I'm saying is that you have defined your God in such a way that he has contradictory characteristics, and a thing that has internal contradictions can't possibly exist. That's like if I told you about my buddy Jeff, and then while I was describing my buddy Jeff, I told you that he's married and that he's a bachelor. And you would say, well, whoever this person is that you're describing, the description that you've given can't be of a person who actually exists because you've described a contradiction. And so I would then have to somehow rectify that contradiction and either say that Jeff is a bachelor but he's not married, or he is married and he's not a bachelor. Otherwise, if I keep insisting that Jeff is both married and a bachelor, then you just know that I'm bullshitting you. Something that I'm saying is false. So what I'm saying is that if you've done that, if you've made God into a married bachelor or a squared circle, he obviously doesn't exist. That's what's happening when you say both God created the universe and God is time. Those two things can't coexist. They're logically inconsistent. This fucking
Okay,
camera.
correct. Now, I wouldn't. Okay, so like, I guess the only reason why I see a problem with this whole entire argument is because like I would never use time to describe my God. That's not something I would use as a.
But you're the one that said God is time, so you did use time to describe your God.
Because you led me in a very narrow questioning. You asked me 3 questions. You asked me, do I?
No, I
believe
asked you
God?
4 questions, or I didn't ask you 4 questions. I gave
Can
you
I
4
finish my thought?
premises.
You just interrupted me. Remember how you don't?
Yeah,
like to
because
interrupt
you're
me?
being disrespectful, and I'm going to treat you the way that you deserve
How?
to be treated.
How
Because
am I being
here's
disrespectful?
by
What did I
dude,
say that was
you have
disrespectful?
literally interrupted me every single fucking time I've talked.
Oh
There
my
hasn't been a
God.
single time that I've talked when you haven't interrupted me. So if you want to cry about getting interrupted, maybe you should stop interrupting me first, and then you can see how you get treated. So anyway,
But
what
I
I'm
did
trying to talk
interrupt
about
you
is
in
whether
that
or not
point.
God
I
is
started off
inside
with the
time. It's
point.
either the case that God is inside time, or it's the
Okay.
case that God is not inside time. If God's not inside time, that's what I'm calling being outside
Okay,
time.
yeah, but
And
this
so
is an
because
argument.
time is
Dude,
simply the progression of moments,
I
the
get what you're
progression of
trying to say. I get
existence
it.
from moment to
You already
moment,
explained this part.
either God experiences the passage of moments or he doesn't. So I need you to
You
clarify,
explained that part.
does
I'm
God
telling you what's
experience
wrong with the
okay,
argument.
so here's the thing,
You
gang.
already explained this
Every
part. You already-
okay, so you need to stop. I have to mute you now because you won't stop talking. If I can't get through a single thing that I'm saying without you interrupting me, I am going to drop you. So the next time you interrupt me, I'm taking it as a concession that you're too scared to actually have the conversation because you know you're going to lose, and so you're self-destructing by interrupting me until I drop you. So I'm letting you know, you're on warning. The next time you interrupt me, it's a concession and a drop, okay? So the question that I need you to clarify is whether or not God experiences the passage of moments. Yes or no, does God experience the passage of moments? You need to unmute yourself. Well, or you could just not okay.
Oh, I was trying to do it. My bad. So I'm saying that the argument.
I asked you a yes or no question. I need an answer
understood
to
what
that
you asked me,
question.
but I was making we were having a conversation before.
Okay,
you
so
thought
I'm
that I
asking
interrupted.
you this yes or no question to clarify so that we can try to
Do
move the
I
conversation
think that he
forward.
experiences moments?
So you need
yes.
Okay.
Can I finish with my other thing? Or are you just
No,
gonna keep asking
no,
follow-up questions?
no,
Okay,
because
then
now
shut
we
up.
need
You're
to
not having a
now we
debate.
need to
You're-
again
no,
we
you're
need to
trying
nail down the
you're
problem with
trying to
this.
be a debate like
Okay, so again, you need to calm down. The only
no, you
way that
can't
we
be
can
a proctor and debate. You can't do
Okay.
both.
Fine, that's fine. I will just move on. I thought maybe we could have a conversation. Clearly we can't. So it's extremely important that we nail down whether or not God experiences the passage of moments. He said that God does experience that. And again, I get another warning that violated hate speech and hateful behavior policy. So apparently I can't bring that person back. Anyway, so what I was trying to get to is that if God experiences the passage of moments, meaning that God is inside of time, then that means that God could not have created time. Well, I don't think that my life has been restricted yet. I just can't bring that person back because apparently there's some TikTok doesn't like them for some doesn't like him for some reason. But yeah, so the time issue is quite important to God. If God is in time, he couldn't have created time. And at the very least, even if you say God is in some kind of meta time that's like outside the universe, then that would still mean that God is ontologically subsequent to something, because the time that God exists in would have to be ontologically prior to God, which would mean that God is not ultimate. And then if God exists, God is ultimate. Therefore, through the power of modus tollens, God doesn't exist. So, okay, we'll try to see if we can bring up another person. It's so funny that he begged me to give an argument and then wouldn't let me give the argument. But if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for your theistic belief.
Hello.
Hi, Henry. How old are you?
18. I was born in 2008.
When in 2008?
April 11th.
Man, you're a fucking baby. All right. What do you believe in a God?
Yes.
Okay. And which one?
Jesus Christ.
Okay. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Well, we live on a rock in the middle of space. And that's the only rock that has oxygen for us to live. So there like has to be a creator.
Why is that?
Here.
Why does there have to be a creator?
Creator?
Yeah, you said we live on a rock and there's oxygen so we can live. You made the claim that this is the only rock with oxygen, which is obviously false, but that's fine. We can pretend that it's true because it doesn't really matter. So I'm just asking, why should any of those facts or any other facts lead me to the conclusion that there is a creator?
Well, first, there's another person, and that person is God.
What?
What he did is he sent us here.
No, you're just making the claim. Why should those facts, if they were facts, why would they compel me to believe that a God exists?
Because it's like, it has to be perfect.
Okay, I'm not seeing any connection between the things that you're saying, so I'm going to try one more time, and if you're not able to, give me any kind of coherent response, I'm just going to have to move on to the next person. What would be the justification to believe that a creator exists?
Because, like, I just told you, like, the earth.
Okay.
It exists.
Well, I'm telling you that I don't understand that argument. I've asked you many times now to give me the justification, like give me the line of reasoning, and you're not capable of doing that. I will give you one last opportunity. Can you give me the line of reasoning from our existence on this planet to God existing?
There's actually an argument. It's called fine-tuning, and it tells you.
Okay. Do you want to present a version of the fine-tuning argument that you like?
No.
Okay. You don't want to present the fine-tuning argument?
No.
Okay.
That's not my original argument.
Okay. So you don't want to present any arguments or give any evidence?
No, I gave you an argument.
I didn't understand it. Can you explain it to me in a way that I can understand?
Well, first, we live on the only rock that is possible living on.
Okay.
And then there you go, God exists.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm embarrassed that it took me that long to realize that you're a troll, but fair enough. Okay. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Michael. How old are you?
I'm 54 years old, sir.
Okay. I assume that you believe in the Christian God?
Of course I do. Resoundingly, yes, 1,000 times. I don't say 100, 1,000 million times. Go on.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
One thing I'll ask you: are you a physicist? Are you a medical doctor?
I'm neither.
What? You're neither. So you think you're qualified to deal with what you're dealing with, sir?
Are you a physicist?
Hmm.
Are you a physicist or a medical doctor, Michael?
Hold on.
Are you a physicist or a medical doctor?
I have studied.
Are you a physicist or a medical doctor?
No, but I've studied.
Okay, so fantastic. So then what you're saying is that you don't think either of us are qualified to talk about this?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Is it your position that neither of us is qualified to talk about this?
Well, to an extent, you are not.
Is it your position that neither of us is qualified to talk about this? Yes or no?
I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay, so Michael, I'm asking you a question, and I need you to answer that question. If you're not capable of answering that question, then I'll take that to mean that you're not capable in engaging in an honest conversation because you know that an honest conversation will lead to the conclusion that your God doesn't exist. So one last chance. Is it your position that neither of us is qualified to have this conversation? Hey, yeehaw.
Sir, you're running like an idiot right now.
All right, fair enough. Thanks for the concession, Michael. Only physicists and medical doctors can talk about God. Was neither. We'll go ahead and do one of these. Well, fine. Oh, because I was pressing the wrong fucking thing. You guys, every day presents me with new opportunities to realize how stupid I am. So that's fun. All right, anyway. Quickly, before I move on to the next person, remember I have a YouTube. It's simply youtube.com/@OgarDebates. I also have a Discord, tinyurl.com/OgarDebates. The YouTube, I would appreciate any support over there, trying to build that up. And the Discord is an opportunity for us to build community, learn, grow, and talk together. So, yeah, just want to kind of plug those things as I remember to do so. And then we'll move on to the next person. Good to see you here, Conservative Budtender. And yeah, I have been making some changes to the live, trying to improve things little bit by little bit. Hopefully getting a new camera soon and doing some other things. So anyway, we'll move on to the next person, hopefully an adult who actually has some kind of argument or evidence. Hi, Jeremy. Are you at least 18?
Oh, yeah. Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Are you at least 18?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
85. 41.
Oh, you were born in 85. I was also born in 85.
Cool.
Yeah. So do you believe in a God?
I don't know. I have a question.
I do want to nail down whether or not you believe in a God, please.
Evidence. Geez, I'm gonna I'll probably have to. If there's a belief in God, you know what? I'll have to side with you on that argument. But with the argument of atheism, do you think is there such thing as ghosts, and do you associate that with God, and therefore ghosts don't exist? So because God doesn't exist. Right?
So this is off topic. I'm just doing debates on whether or not God exists.
Okay. Well, you win.
Well,
you
fair
win.
enough.
I don't have anything on that. I was just curious on the difference, because some atheists would tell me that afterlife or ghost or or higher conscience doesn't exist, and somehow they associate that with that we're just like organic, almost robotic, but nothing else beyond that. And I was like, what? So I just had a question around that. I don't have enough personal experience or any artifacts to prove.
Well, what I would say, Jeremy, is that, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any reason to believe in a God, and for separate, different reasons, I don't think that there are any reasons to believe in any other supernatural things, including souls, ghosts, etc. The background noise is getting louder and louder, so I'm just going to drop you, but, and there wasn't a debate there anyway, so, anyway, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification for your theistic belief. Questions about ghosts. Or maybe I should just say question. It's super important that my notes are very specific. Michael, you have the stage and you chose not to use it. So no, I'm not letting you back up. That would be ridiculous. I'm not that stupid. Okay. Hi, Troy. Are you at least 18? Okay, fair enough. Hi, are you at least 18?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do I say your name? DeLeon?
DeLeon.
DeLeon. Okay.
Yes.
I'll try, and I'll probably fuck it up. And I apologize.
Well, you
in
say
advance.
Leon.
Leon?
You
Oh,
say
well, that's
Leon.
way fucking.
Yeah.
For a idiot like me, that's a lot easier.
All right.
And do you believe in a God? Or wait, how old are you?
I'm ordering you.
I think I just asked
59.
that. Okay, fair enough.
59.
Sorry, I get really easily distracted and then I forget. So my bad.
That's okay.
What God do you believe in?
I believe in one God and one Jesus only. I don't believe in a religion though.
Okay, but you believe in essentially the Christian God?
Yes. Well, yes. People call it Christian, but I only believe in God and Jesus, and that's it. No label to it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that that's the God you believe in, even if you don't believe
Yes.
in like the
Okay.
rest of the doctrines of the church or whatever. So what would you say is the best argument or
Okay.
evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
You know what? I would like to go to the questions that you were asking earlier about with the young guy.
Oh, sure. When he asked me to give an argument and then didn't let me give the argument.
Yes, let's go. Let's go. Let's do that. I want to
Okay.
see that. See what we can get through that.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll just give you the same argument in the same format. My intention here, as long as we're both cool with it, is that I will go premise by premise and confirm whether you agree with each premise. If you do, I can move on. If you don't agree with one of the premises, I'll do my best to motivate it and see if I can convince you why I think you should believe in it. Is that fair?
Fair enough.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure we're on the same page, so I appreciate you being cooperative. So the first point, same exact argument I was giving him. Premise number 1, God has a mind. Do you agree?
No.
Okay. Does God know things?
Yes.
Okay. And do you agree that knowledge is a mental state?
Knowledge is something you learn.
Yeah, right. So it's a mental state, right? It's a thing that happens in your mind. It's an attitude toward a proposition, right?
Yes, in flesh.
Right. So, well, I'm just saying that from the perspective of what knowledge is, like the definition of what knowledge is it's a mental attitude toward a proposition. So that means that it's a mental state, right?
Yes, but
Okay.
you can't compare.
Well,
Go
what
ahead,
I'm
go ahead.
saying is that I'm not saying that God's mind has to be the same as human minds or that God's mental states have to be the same as human mental states. But I am saying that if God has knowledge, which is a mental state, then that means God has mental state, at least one mental state. And if God has at least one mental state, then God must have a mind. I mean, it's not possible to have even one mental state if there is no mind present. That's the only kind of thing that can have a mental state. I mean, do you
Okay.
know of anything other than a mind that can have a mental state?
Well, we only know what we see and hear flesh, right?
Okay, but
Nobody.
do you know?
Nobody.
Okay, you're agreeing that God has knowledge. Do you agree that knowledge is a mental state?
For us, it is. I
No,
mean,
just
you
in
can't.
general. I'm just simpliciter.
Okay.
In general,
You can't.
anytime we talk about knowledge, does that mean that we're talking about a mental state?
Okay, but we can't put God into our mind.
I'm not trying to do that. I'm just asking you a very simple question: is knowledge a mental state?
Yes, if yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay,
referring
so
to only yes.
no, Leon, if you're not willing to engage, I'm not asking just for us. So I need you to give me a yes or no answer, whether or not knowledge is a mental state without any qualification. Just
Okay. So you're
knowledge,
asking.
knowledge simpliciter, is that a mental state?
Can I ask you this then? Is God? If we're talking about God, and I've never seen God, so how would I know if He has a mind or how He thinks?
Does God think?
No, me. How do I know if He does all this? I don't know how
You're the
God
one
is.
that believes in it. I don't think you can know this, and that's why I don't think you should believe in it. But you believe in it, so I'm asking you what you believe, and you're refusing to engage. So if you want me
I
to be
believe
able
in
to give
God.
this argument, you have to actually engage with what I'm saying. So either it's the case that God has knowledge or He doesn't. You said that He does. My position on that is that knowledge is a mental state, and only minds have mental states. So if God has knowledge, then God has a mind.
Well, so you're trying to put me in God's mind, and I can't
No,
see
I'm
you
not
put.
trying to put you in God's mind. I'm simply
Okay,
asking if you
let's
understand
just
what
say
these
He does it.
concepts are.
Let's just say He does it. Let's go with it. Let's go. He does it
Okay, well then what you're talking about isn't a God.
on your perspective.
No, just by the generic basic definition of a God is some kind of personal agent that is the ultimate foundation of reality. If you're talking about something that doesn't have a mind, that means it's not personal, nor is it an agent, so it can't fit the definition of a personal agent that is the ultimate foundation of reality. So what you've done is now said that what you believe in actually isn't a God. So that's fine, but you just have to acknowledge that you're an atheist.
No, I'm not gonna acknowledge. See, you're trying to change my mind, and I'm not gonna flip my
No,
mind
I'm
to
not
what.
trying to change your mind. I'm telling you that what you already believe in
Can
is
I
not a
speak?
God.
You're
So,
interrupting me, and I let you talk.
no, we're just going to move on because you don't believe in a God. I'm only looking to talk to people who do believe in a God. Oh, it's crazy to see who people come in here sometimes. Okay. It's crazy. I've tried twice now to give that argument, and no one will engage with it. I wonder why that could be. So yeah, as I was talking about earlier, I do have a YouTube channel, simply Ogar Debates over there. And I also have a Discord that I've started. And I don't want to contribute to the brain rot of society, Apostle. No, I'm not going to make a video about you. Blue Hat Productions. Yeah, it's just the way that it is on the screen here. Ogar Debates. So the YouTube is youtube.com/@OgarDebates. All one word, no spaces. And similarly, the link to the Discord or to join the Discord is tinyurl.com/OgarDebates. Also one word, no spaces or anything. Okay. So we're going to see if we can have a good conversation. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Oh, no, Apostle. You clearly aren't here very often. I talk all the time about how I don't have a philosophical education. Let me be very, very explicit here. I do not have a philosophical education. I do not have a philosophical education. I do not claim a philosophical education. I wouldn't claim it because that would be a lie to pretend that I have a philosophical education, and I'm not up here to lie. So I do not have a philosophical education. If you've ever heard me claim to have a philosophical education, then I was lying, and I will apologize for that now. I can correct you on terms, Apostle, like when you don't know what prima facie or however you want to fucking say that. If you don't know what that word means, it's not unreasonable to say that you're using the word incorrectly, which you were. Anyway, we'll see if we can actually have a conversation. I'm not going to debate with the comments. I don't know why the fuck I allowed myself to get sucked into that. I apologize to everybody. That was dumb of me. A failing on my part. All right. Hi, Sloth. How old are you?
Yo, what's up, man? 32.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yes, sir, I do.
Cool. Which one?
I believe in a Jehovah God.
Okay. So I'm assuming that you mean Yahweh, and I'm assuming you mean the Christian version of Yahweh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What would you say... sorry, I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
In my honest opinion, to answer your question, it would be just you, me, people, the world, the existence. You know, the way animals work, the way everything kind of just, I guess you could say, operates, and it works perfectly. I don't think a man could design that. At least not me, you know.
Yeah, sure. I'm not claiming that humans designed anything like the planet or whatever. Like I'm not saying that humans are responsible for life existing. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. It sounds like you're just like creating some other position that no one here takes because you want to argue against that position. But I would ask that you actually argue against my position, not some made up one.
Okay, and your position would be, so what do you believe in exactly? How did you think we got here? What's your take?
Well, the relevant position that I have here is that there isn't evidence to believe in a God. And what I'm saying is that if you're trying to present evidence to believe in a God, and the evidence to believe in a God relies on knocking down some worldview, you would want to make sure that the people you're talking to hold that worldview. Otherwise, knocking that worldview down isn't going to be very compelling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if I told you, like you don't believe the Earth is flat, right?
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, no.
Right. So we both think that the Earth is an oblate spheroid, a globe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now if I told you that there can't be a God and you should be an atheist because the Earth is a globe, you would be like, what are you talking about? I already think the Earth is a globe, and I think that's completely compatible with my belief in a God. So your argument has no weight to it, and that's what I'm telling you. It's the same thing. You knocking down some worldview that I don't believe in as a support for your God isn't going to be compelling to me. So I'm not saying that you need to know my exact worldview or you need to argue against every position that I'm holding. I'm saying that if your argument for God relies on knocking down a worldview, you've got to make sure that that's my worldview, or at least the thing that you're knocking down is in my worldview. So anyway, so now that we've got that out of the way, I don't think that humans created the Earth or life. So what would be the reason to believe in a God? Oh, I can't hear you if you're off the app. I don't know if maybe you got a phone call or something.
No, I would just, just because like the human cells and how we come into life and go to embryo, and it's just like there has to be a creator in my mind to do that. How we have water. Why?
What aspect of it requires a creator?
Love.
Okay, but I can
Like it
explain
says
love.
he does-
This is the same thing that I was talking about before, Sloth. I can explain love, I can explain biology, I can explain evolution, I can explain all of these things without needing to reference a god. So you have to tell me something about those things that is incompatible with my ability to explain them without a god.
See, that's the thing. I can't change your view on everything. Like that's your view, and I have, you know,
Whether
what I
or
mean?
not you
My
can
view.
change
I
my
cannot provide you solid proof.
I'm not
There's
asking
no way I could
I'm
show
asking
you proof.
I'm not asking for proof, I'm asking
You
for
know?
evidence, and I'm not even saying that you need to change my mind. I'm just asking if you can actually provide some kind of evidence. So far, all you've done is vaguely gestured at things in the world and then said, because of those things, there needs to be a God. But I need the
Well,
connection.
Who created the world? You can answer that for me.
I have no reason to think that the world was created.
Well, then how did it get here? So it had to be created. It had to be a start at some point. We gotta.
Yeah, that's
it has
your
to be some
claim.
kind of logical
Yeah,
thinking.
that's your claim. How do you demonstrate that that claim is true?
And then how do you demonstrate that it's not true?
Okay, so you
I
don't want to
can't
provide
demonstrate
evidence for
to
your
you
position?
That it's true. Sir, I cannot provide evidence out of my hand, or
Okay.
I can't just present it to you. You have
Sure.
to kind of be.
So then you're saying you don't have
open-minded,
evidence. That's what that
not
means.
solid. To be completely honest, yes, I do not have solid evidence to provide you solid proof that there is a God.
Those
The
are
only
different
thing I
things.
could
I didn't
tell
say
you-
proof. Stop putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm saying proof. I'm not saying you said proof.
Yeah, I'm not
just letting
asking you
know
for
I don't
proof, so
have
stop
proof.
talking about proof. What I'm asking you
Okay.
is whether you have any evidence for God, and it sounds like you're saying that you don't have evidence for God, correct?
I do have evidence for God.
Okay,
I do
what
have
is the evidence?
The water, oxygen, you. the
Okay,
way
we've
you
already talked about
speak, the
this.
way
What
the
you need
body
to do is you need to
operates.
draw the connection between those things and God.
How do you? What do you mean? Articulate for me.
Yeah, if I said that you should believe in God, or you should believe that there is no God, because the grass is green, you might agree that the grass is green and still not agree with me that there are no gods. You would need me to draw the connection between why your commitment to green grass necessitates a commitment to no gods. That's what I'm asking you to do. I agree that humans exist. I agree that the planet exists. And I agree, that biology exists. But I don't agree that God exists. You're saying that one necessarily leads to the other. I'm asking for you to draw the connection between them.
Okay. I mean, I could just give you one, Bible prophecies and how things are happening right now.
That's not any
and
of the
talks
stuff that
about
you said. Now you're just
decency.
pivoting completely away from the argument that you
You know
were
what I
giving.
mean?
How does
no, but you have
water?
to- I mean,
how
bro,
does
you gotta
water?
look at the real
Sloth.
world. You gotta
Sloth.
open your eyes, brother,
Sloth.
and look at the real world.
Sloth.
Look around you, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna have to mute you. Okay, now you're running away from the argument. Now you brought up water and humans, you and me existing. Fine, let's start with that, with humanity. Let's say humans exist. Now draw the connection from that to the necessity of a God. Please unmute yourself and provide the connection.
Okay, hello?
Yep.
All right, cool. So like I'm saying, yeah, honestly, I can't really provide you any evidence of a God. The only thing I could say is that everything that the book has been talking about is literally unfolding, and it's been going on for years. And if you pay attention to just the world, not even
Okay, so you're
just the
completely
world,
giving up on the
everything's
argument that
lining
you.
up with it.
Okay, so you're completely giving up on the argument that you started with.
Can you just please answer one question for me? I've answered a lot. For me. At
No,
least I've
no,
tried
because
to.
now you're trying to run away with you're trying to run away without even acknowledging that you're running away, and I'm not going to let you do that. Are you running
No,
away
I'm
from the
not
argument that you
running away.
gave about water and humanity and the rest of things existing?
Sir, we could agree.
Are
We
you
both
running
don't
away
run
from the? Are
away.
you conceding on that argument? Yes or no?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I
fantastic.
wouldn't.
So then draw the connection between those things and God.
What connection between what? What do you want to hear exactly? What do you
I want
need me to
you.
break down?
I want you to explain how agreeing that humans exist commits me to the position that God exists.
I would say, honestly, in my honest opinion, for what my little brain could connect, would be just the whole fundamentals of how everything works, our body, the way it's designed, how we
Yeah,
breathe,
those are
how
the
we
things that you were
work,
already
how-
talking about. Those are the things that I'm asking
and
you to connect to
and
God.
I'm trying to, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, and that comes back to the Creator, God. Jehovah sent down, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, to get, to be here, and then that created, that gave us the opportunity.
Whoa.
Obviously, Adam and Eve were made, and everything
Okay.
went south. And what I'm trying to say
Sloth,
is
all of these,
basically,
hold on. I need you, you're just gibberating. You're just gish galloping now. So what I need you to do is to pick one specific thing that you think leads to God. Let's say human biology, the complexity of human cells. Just pick that thing, or, it doesn't have to necessarily be, complexity of cells, but pick one specific thing. And then I need you to get from that thing to God without bringing up a whole bunch of other things. Okay? So hopefully you understand what you're doing now. You're picking one specific thing, whether that be just in general the existence of humanity or complexity of our biology or some specific feature of the world. Pick that one thing and then draw the connection from that to God. If you aren't able to do that, if the next thing that you say is anything other than that, I'm just going to take it as a concession that you know that there are no gods and you're just too scared to admit it. So please unmute and provide that connection.
okay, got you. You hear me?
I can hear you. And remember, if you say anything other than providing the connection that I'm asking you for, it's a concession.
Okay, so I just gotta basically pick one topic. Okay, I guess I'll just go with the brain then. We'll just go over the brain on how everything, like I'm talking about the nervous system.
Yep, what you're supposed to be saying now is just, okay,
Yeah,
you picked the
I'm trying-
brain, and now how does that connect us to God? Why does the brain's existence commit me to God's existence?
Because it has to do with the whole thought process, the whole creation, the whole development of it. There's no man that can you explain how it works and how everything works?
Well, I appreciate the concession, Sloth. I know it's scary to admit that you don't actually have an argument or evidence, but I gave you the out and you took it. So
I'll admit that.
Yeah, well, and you admitted it a couple times, and then I said, okay, to confirm, you're saying you don't have any evidence, and then you ran away. So I bring people up in the order that they requested. I am not going to disrespect that because of your stupid fucking club. So no, you can fuck off. And actually, if another person tells me to bring up a KG person, I'm just never going to bring another KG person up. So, oh, there we go. Materia said, bring up Cap. After I said, if you say that again, I'm not bringing up any more KG people. No more KG people. Sorry, Cap. You may as well go away. They fucked it for you. I don't do this begging in the comments bullshit. Mikey, KG is a Discord where a bunch of people with really, really bad arguments get together and then pat each other on the back for their bad arguments. That's what KG is. Okay. So, again, I bring people up in order, and then what gets you kicked even further back down the order is being in the chat begging to come up. So, no, I'm not bringing up any KG people, at very least not right now. And again, even if you're in the queue, if you're not next, I'm not bringing you up next. You're next, Jeanette. So please make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Jeanette. How old are you?
I'm 52.
Okay. And do you believe in a God?
I believe that we are all God.
Okay. Well, I think that we exist. Why should I think that, like, what do you mean when you say God, I guess?
When I say God, I mean creators.
Okay. Well, when I say God, so we may just be having a semantic dispute here, and I'm not really interested in that, because when I say God, I'm talking about like a personal ultimate foundation to reality.
Well, I have that, but I have that based on my personal experience.
Okay, so you do believe that there is a being that is the personal ultimate foundation to reality?
The Alpha and the Omega, yes.
Okay. Why should I believe that that thing exists?
Well, you don't have to believe that that thing exists.
I'm not saying that I have to, and I'm not asking you to tell me that I have to, or I'm not claiming that you have told me that I have to.
But
I'm asking you, because I want to believe in true things, what would be the argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe that it's true that such a being exists?
Well, there's love, and love is an action, I believe, and that.
Yeah, but I believe in love. So just talking about things that I already believe in, this is like I was talking about to the last guy, Jeanette. If I just told you that there are no gods because the grass is green, you could agree that the grass is green and still not believe that there are no gods because there is no connection there. So if you want to, like, you need to point to something, if you want to talk about love or some other, emotion or something, what you need to be talking about isn't simply the existence of that emotion. You need to be pointing to the feature of that emotion that can't be explained without a god.
can I tell you that my personal experience then why I know that there's a God?
No,
Are you
because what you would
interested in
need,
that?
if you want me to care about what your personal experience is, you would first need to explain to me how I can determine whose interpretation of their personal experiences are correct and whose are incorrect.
I know that I came from God because I remember being with the
No,
Father.
Jeanette, did you hear what I just said?
But I remember being with the
Did you
Father.
hear what I just said?
I heard what you said.
Okay, what did I say?
You said that you have to interpret. You don't want to have to interpret
No.
whether or not
Nope.
my experience is real or not. Basically,
No, I didn't say that at all. Do you want to try
Well,
it
I
again, or
didn't
do you need me
want-
to repeat it?
No, I understand you're not interested in hearing that there's a God. You want some physical fact.
Nope, I didn't say anything
Right.
like that. Now you're just
What
poisoning the
is
well.
it that what is it that you're looking for someone to prove that there's a God?
Well, I never asked anyone to prove that there's a God. I don't know why everybody's on that tonight. I never said that.
I think because the title here says God is fiction.
But I haven't said anything about proof. Proof is a mathematical concept. I'm not talking about proof. So what I'm saying here is that you want to talk about personal experience. My contention with personal experience is that there are personal experiences purported to support all kinds of different contradictory beliefs. If I have 5 people in front of me all telling me that their personal experience confirms some position that contradicts the other 4 people standing next to them, then there's no way for me to take all of their claims as true, all their interpretations of their personal experience as true, because they all have the exact same evidence, and believing them all would force me to believe in contradictions. I don't believe in contradictions. I don't believe that contradictions can be true. Therefore, I would need some way to determine which of those interpretations of their personal experiences are correct and which ones are false. So if you want to talk about personal experience, the first thing you need to do is help me understand the tool that I can use to determine which interpretations of personal experience are correct and which ones are false.
I don't have that for you.
Okay.
Why do you think that there is no God?
Sure, because there's no every single time anyone has ever tried to present evidence for a God or present an argument for a God, it has failed. And as far as I know, I have never seen a successful case for believing in God. So that gets me to the initially just not accepting the position, and then I think that there's a lot of evidence that gives us reason to, or a lot of arguments, a lot of evidence that gives us reason to think that there are no gods. For example, that certainly the Christian God couldn't possibly exist. You know what? I just realized that we never really nailed anything down. You got me so out of sorts here. What God do you actually believe in, Jeanette?
Well, I came from the Father. And
okay, so you
the
believe in the
Father
Christian
looked
God.
like the Son.
So you believe in the...
No.
Okay,
no.
so what
When
I need
was
you to
with
do,
the
Jeanette,
Father-
stop. Okay. Just tell me without any stories. I don't need any story. I just need you to give me the bare bones definition of what you mean when you say God. No stories, no preaching.
Okay. a sun, the sun of this solar system.
Okay, well,
And
I believe
I'm-
the sun exists. Why should I
and
call that a God?
I am a flame of that sun.
Why should I call the sun a God? I believe the sun exists.
It's the center of this
Okay,
solar
so you don't want to
system.
answer the question?
Well, that love created this earth.
Okay, so please
I don't
answer
know
the question.
why you shouldn't. I don't
Okay,
think that you
so
should.
it sounds like, Jeanette, you just don't have the boost for this hike, and that's fine. I probably should have known that from the beginning, and it was my fault for continuing to go on. My bad. Yeah, holy shit. Over 30,000 likes. Is this something like yesterday? Because last night it was like 600,000 likes or something. It was fucking crazy. I don't know if somebody, I don't know. I don't know how that happened last night. And I mean, it's obviously not going anything like that tonight, but regardless, thank you very much for all the likes. I sincerely appreciate that. Art Student, thank you for the likes. And everybody else, and the shares and the gifts. The Conservative Bud Tender, Anto Zeus, Owley, Bertram, Oren, Alan Gibson, Grandpa Books, or Brooks? Yeah, Books. 3 Pips, Poopman Jones, Christina the Godless, Mikey, Quigley. Thank you very much, everybody. Casey, Decon Blue. Thank you, everybody, for the support. I definitely appreciate it. I'm sorry if I miss anybody. It's not my intention. I sincerely appreciate the support. Well, thank you, Explicit. It's strange to hear that, honestly, or to read that. I'm just some idiot on here who, again, has no knowledge and no understanding of anything. So I appreciate that you guys, spend time, here with me. Oh, thank you. Okay. Was that only the one? Okay. What have you got for me, Bob?
Hey there. Yeah, I guess before I get into an argument, what standard of evidence would convince you of God's existence, and why ought we follow that standard before I jump into my argument?
I mean, I know that like a philosophical argument that has true premises and a valid structure, would be convincing. And then as far as why you would want to follow that kind of structure, it would be because that kind of structure guarantees the truth of the conclusion, and what I'm concerned with is the truth of the conclusion.
Okay, fair enough. So I don't want to run tag or the moral argument. I feel like those are kind of boring. I've been trying to brush up on my cosmological argument. So if that's agreeable to you, maybe we can jump into the cosmological argument.
Yeah, I assume we're just talking everything that begins to exist as a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause.
Yeah, and then the only thing I would add on to that would be just the impossibility of coming to, or I guess actualizing an actual infinite. And then independent of that argument, if that one were to fail, reaching an infinite through successive addition. So maybe we can start with premise one, whatever begins to exist has a cause. And
my main contention is going to be with premise two.
Okay, so you would agree then with premise one, whatever begins to exist as a cause, and we can just skip over that?
No, I'm not granting the premise. I'm saying that the main contention here is going to be with premise two, and it doesn't matter whether or not I agree with premise one if you can't support or motivate premise two.
If you want to just jump straight to premise two, we can do that.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm going to ask that you don't eat while we're talking.
Sorry, I haven't eaten all day. I will stop. All right. So with premise number two, just for the listeners there, so the universe began to exist. Obviously, then you would argue that the universe can be eternal. Is that correct?
I'm saying that I don't have any justification to conclude that the universe began to exist, and that's what you would need to provide justification for.
So if we look at something like the expansion of the universe, if the universe had no beginning, how would you tackle the scientific challenge of seeing an expanding universe and then the problem of entropy?
What does entropy have to do with the expansion?
Do you know what entropy is?
Yeah.
Well, it's both.
Yeah, those are two completely different things, though. Like the argument hold on, Bob. The argument about entropy, saying that the universe couldn't be infinite, is simply saying that if the universe had a beginning and it was an infinite time ago or something like that, or whatever, there is an infinite past, then presumably your position, because of not understanding what entropy is, you would think that entropy would reach some kind of maximum or something like that if such a thing existed, and that there would be like heat death. But that's a completely different thing from talking about the expansion. So I need you to pick. I can only respond to one thing at a time. So I'm just going to ask you to pick what thing you want me to respond to.
I was just getting both points out because
okay, please don't do that again.
You can start with either. Okay, you can start with either. Let's start with the expansion of the universe.
Okay, so if you see it seems like what you're suggesting is that if something is expanding, then if we were to go back to the beginning of the expansion, that would necessarily also be the beginning of its existence.
Correct.
Okay, so what you're saying is that every time anyone has ever blown up a balloon for a party, the balloon came into existence at the moment it began being blown up?
Well, I wouldn't equate the beginning of the universe to a balloon.
No, I'm saying expansion. Your principle here is that something expanding means that it began existing when it began expanding. So what that would mean then is if a balloon is expanding, which obviously when a balloon is being blown up, it does expand. So by your principle that you've introduced into this conversation, if a balloon is expanding, then when it began expanding is also when it began existing. So I need you to demonstrate to all of us that the appearance that balloons exist unexpanded for, indeterminate amount of time, sometimes, days, months, years prior to them being blown up, you need to explain how that's false and the balloon actually doesn't start existing until it's being blown up. Or you
So
can
I'm
just
not real
accept
sure.
that expansion doesn't, the beginning of expansion doesn't come necessitate the beginning of something's existence.
Yeah, I guess I'm not understanding quite how you would get to the balloon existing at all. So it seems like you're just granting yourself that this balloon exists, and then you can start the expansion of it.
No. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't think the balloons exist?
No, I do. I do think that balloons exist, but I think
Okay.
that like the universe itself didn't exist.
That's
and
the
then that
claim.
was a singularity.
That's the claim. The claim is that the universe
Okay.
didn't exist. You would need to demonstrate that. But again, here, if we just say,
Well, okay. I guess I
hold
would
on
just
here.
say this.
So we'll
then.
say, when a thing begins expanding,
I get what you're saying.
it
So let me give you
also
my response.
begins existing when balloons begin, or wait. Balloons, oh my God, expand. So then our conclusion would be when balloons begin to expand, that is also when they begin to exist. So this is the position, or this is the conclusion that your position commits you to. So I need you to justify this because I don't agree. I don't agree that when balloons begin to expand is also when they began to exist.
I understand that you don't agree. Let me respond. So I guess the first thing I would say is the balloon has a center. So it would seem to me that if the balloon has a center, then the universe must have a center. So I would say like the center of the balloon obviously
This isn't relevant to the point here, Bob.
It is relevant.
Stop. You need to explain how it is that balloons only start existing when they begin expanding, and the appearance that they exist prior to that is how that's false. Why we should believe that that's false.
Yeah, because the center of the balloon exists right in a higher dimensional space.
No, Bob, explain to me
which the
how
balloon
it's
is
false when I
embedded.
go to the store and I see that they have bags of balloons on sale. What is the thing that is causing me to have the false belief that those balloons already exist even though they haven't begun expanding yet?
Repeat that.
When I'm at the store and I see a bag of unexpanded balloons on sale, right, that they're selling, what is the thing that is causing me to have the false belief that those balloons exist prior to the beginning of their expansion?
Yeah, but the part I guess that I'm not understanding, if the balloon's a 2D service and the universe is 3D, I don't even understand the analogy. It seems like it's
okay.
a
So you're not
false
actually
analogy.
willing to engage? Is that what I'm
Well,
hearing?
I'm saying is the analogy intended to illustrate like some sort of mathematical property of uniform expansion?
No,
and
it's
with the
simply
number of
saying that
dimensions?
your principle that you introduced to this conversation, that the beginning of a thing's expansion is also necessarily the beginning of that thing's existence. I'm showing you that that doesn't hold. You're claiming that it does hold, so I need you to explain it to me in another scenario where it seems, as far as I can tell, that the beginning of something's existence is completely disconnected from the beginning of its expansion. Your claim is that those things are necessarily intertwined. I need you to support that claim.
Yeah, I guess for this sake, I'll just concede that point, and we can go straight to an entropy.
Okay, so you're
'Cause I think it's a
agreeing.
bad analogy.
Okay, so you're agreeing that when something begins expanding, it doesn't necessarily mean that's when it began existing, correct?
I just think it's a bad analogy, but I'll just concede the point for the sake of the argument.
What's the problem with the analogy?
Well, again, I think that like there's limitations on that analogy, right? So like
No, the only relevant points, the only relevant things are expansion and beginning of existence. If a thing can begin to exist at a different point in time than when it begins to expand, then your contention that when something begins to expand must also be when it began to exist is obviously false. I have given you an example of a thing that the beginning of its existence is completely disconnected from the beginning of its expansion.
Do you want to hear why I think it's a bad analogy?
No. What I want you to do is explain how it is that that it seems like something like such as a balloon or any number of other things that expand, how it is that those things seem to exist prior to the beginning of their expansion, but don't.
Yeah, but I'm just saying your analogy is bad. So like to me,
No,
there's
I
a
don't
center
care
of
about the analogy, Bob. It's the point is the
Well,
principle.
Don't get so combative. I thought we're having a good faith discussion.
Okay, Bob. I don't need the meta. I don't need that at all. All I'm asking you to do is simply engage with the point that I'm making. If your tactic to get around engaging with the point is to run to meta and stuff like that, we're not going to get anywhere. So you have two choices. Either you can continue with the meta and I can just kick you, or you can actually engage in the substance and explain how, in all of the cases where things, the beginning of something's expansion seems to be disconnected from the beginning of its existence, that all those situations are false, that we're wrong every time we think that that's the case.
So again, man, I'm having a conversation with you in good faith. So the analogy to me is misleading, right? Because
I'm
to
not,
me, there's
we're
a-
not, Bob, we're not talking about the analogy. We're talking about the principle.
Why can't we talk about the analogy?
Because we're talking about the principle itself. We're talking about the fact that your claim is that when something begins expanding is necessarily also when it begins existing. I need you to support that claim.
Okay, so the universe, is it expanding into an external space like a
No,
balloon?
we're not talking about the universe. We're not talking about balloons. We're not talking about anything else.
But
We're
that
simply
was-
talking
that was
about.
you-
Yeah,
we're
I
talking
know,
about
and I
your
said that
claim.
we need to get away from the analogy because it's causing problems. It's
But
forcing you.
It's your analogy, though.
Bob, I'm telling you, we need to abandon the analogy because you're not capable of handling analogous thought. I'm sorry that you don't have the capacity for that level of complexity in your brain, but clearly it's a limitation, and I'm trying to remove that problem for you because you're struggling with it. So now what I need you to do,
Okay,
instead
can we
of
just-
trying to demonstrate the problem with your view with an analogy, which you're, again, clearly not able to handle, what I need you to do now instead is simply motivate your claim. So your claim is that when something begins expanding is also when it begins existing. Provide me the argument that ends with that conclusion. You will need to unmute yourself.
Is the universe expanding into an external space?
Okay, so if I'm going to ask you one more time to motivate this point. If you respond with anything other than the argument that motivates it, I will take that as a concession. So what is the motivating argument for the claim that when something begins expanding, that is necessarily also when it begins existing? Do.
Well, you said that if I answer with anything that what you want me to answer, you're going to kick me. So
Yeah,
I guess we'll just move on to the next point.
It's a concession. So either
It's not a concession.
Yes, because
You
you're
won't-
okay.
you
So
won't-
that's the
you won't
concession.
back up
Thank
your
you, Bob.
analogy, so-
Fantastic. Thank you for the concession. Here's what we're talking about, right? If his claim was that when something begins expanding, that is necessarily also when it began existing, right? So what he needed to do is demonstrate the truth of that point. He could have provided the demonstration of the connection. Yeah, obviously the analogy was to show you the problem with your point. You weren't able to grasp it. So instead of me taking on the burden shift, I was trying to put it back on you where the burden should have been in the first place, and you refused to hold your dialectical burden. That's a failure on your part. Kalam. Yeah, it's my problem for not being good faith because you wouldn't defend your argument. Oh man, so bad faith of me that you wouldn't defend your argument. Oh, where do I get off? Yeah, William Lane Craig. For sure. All right, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Apple user 269966694. Are you at least 18?
You fucking.
Okay, fair enough. That was a child. Yeah, I totally agree, Bertram. Yes, he was pretending not to understand the analogy or to have an issue with the analogy because he knew he couldn't actually support his point. Okay, well, so currently don't have anybody requesting. I don't know if maybe we do a reset. Thanks, Nick. I love you too. So while I wait for another guest to come up, or maybe we have to do a reset here, I will just point out that I have started a Discord recently, and the link to that is tinyurl.com/ogarddebates. I do also have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to get more stuff going on over there. Yeah, it would suck to reset. I've also got like 50,000 likes, which is insane. But yeah, so like I said, I have a YouTube, youtube.com/@ogarddebates. I'm, like I said, trying to do more stuff over there, and if I can get more followers, that's gonna open up a lot of doors there. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for and why I'm bringing it up. And then I also have a Discord, tinyurl.com/ogarddebates, which is simply an opportunity for us to try to continue trying to build community. I know a lot of other atheist streamers have been working towards building communities as well. I'm certainly not trying to replace that or say that I have something better than any of them. Of course I don't. But I do think it's another opportunity that gives us another place that we can talk, we can learn together and grow together, and gain wisdom together. But yeah, so like I said, currently don't have anybody requesting. Maybe I'll give it man, maybe I'll give it a couple minutes and see if I can get somebody to come up. Let's see. Oh, looks like a couple people actually joined the Discord. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so like I said, don't have anybody up. I actually am a moral realist. I hold to objective morality. Okay. All right. So yeah, don't currently have anybody up. Sorry, I'm just yeah, I will be honest. The reason that I'm a moral realist is because of allegedly Ian. I mean, we could discuss it briefly sober. Like especially if you're like an atheist. I mean, we could discuss it briefly, but it's not something I want to get super deep into. But yeah, the reason that I'm a moral realist is because of allegedly Ian. Ian is extremely intelligent, and I heard their Geworthian argument from agency many times, and well, so okay, so here's the thing, sober. I'm trying to move toward. Hey, you know what? Actually, why don't you come up and I'll run this by you, and then you can tell me if you think this is bullshit. Hi, sober.
What's up?
I don't know if we've talked before. Have we talked before?
No, I know you avoid friendlies. I try not to get in your way.
Fair enough. I am a fucking freight train running everybody over. But okay. So I like that Geworthian argument from agency, but because I'm moving more and more toward virtue ethics specifically, what I tried to do is kind of take the structure of that agency argument and build an argument for virtue ethics from it. So let me throw this up on the screen. So you're going to notice it's extremely similar, but it is fortunately shorter. So we would start out and say, I'm a reflective agent. If I'm a reflective agent, my goal is eudaimonia. If my goal is eudaimonia, then I have reason to act in accordance with virtue. If I have a reason to do something, then I ought do it. So first conclusion, I ought act in accordance with virtue. If my reflective agency is sufficient to entail that I ought act in accordance with virtue, then all reflective agents ought act in accordance with virtue. So conclusion 2, all reflective agents ought act in accordance with virtue. So that means that if this argument works, which I'm not 100%, I like it, but I don't know that means that it necessarily works. But if this argument works, it seems like that would then say that all reflective agents have a moral obligation to act in accordance with virtue.
I honestly don't see a giant issue with it, but I also don't see how much more of a step it gains compared to the original argument.
I don't know that it gains any ground. I think that all it does is the reason I like. Oh, go ahead.
I think it fights the right thing better. Do you know what I'm saying? Like where it becomes a right in a sense.
Yeah, and I think that like there's this concept of moral patience that I think that the right thing does, right? Because like right is an outward facing awe, and what you're saying is like I want to consider myself a moral patient, therefore moral agents I'm committed to saying moral agents should consider me as a moral patient, and then that's saying that like all other moral agents or all other reflective agents are committed to considering all other agents as moral patients. And like I get that, but I think that it's like almost roundabout in a way, where I feel like this one, the two things that I like about this is I agree that this is, I feel like, is more direct in that way. And then the second thing that I like about this one is that it is directly pointing at virtue ethics, which I personally like a lot. I don't like utilitarianism, and I really don't like deontology.
At first glance, I really don't see an issue with it.
I think the biggest problem, in my opinion, it would be supporting premise 3. Like, I think premise 3 is correct, but I also can see that
The thing is,
I could see an hour-long conversation trying to motivate.
Yeah, I hold to the same. Like, we came from the same original argument. You know what I mean? So we're kind of going to be in agreement on that premise.
I think that's true.
It would probably be better if you run it by someone who didn't hold to the same thing.
Well, the reason that I think that it's useful to run it by somebody like yourself is that, I feel like there's a much higher likelihood that if you see a problem with it, that you're going to be able to present it in a way that I'm going to be able to understand really quickly. And that's one thing, like, I don't know if you're like very active in Ian's Discord, but I'm in there all the time. And what I like about that place, and, I'm plugging my Discord, fuck it, go join Ian's Discord, everybody. What I like about Ian's Discord is that there are a lot of people in there who are extremely knowledgeable. And so I'll like post syllogisms in there and get ripped to shreds by other atheists. And it's, as much as it's not what I'm hoping for, it is nice because then I know like this isn't just like ripping it down for the sake of not liking the conclusion. It's genuinely saying like, no, here are weaknesses in your argument. And I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be for my lack of knowledge, but I don't see an issue with it at first glance.
Yeah, I think I think that this works in the same way as that agency argument, and like I said, what I like about it is, we don't get into the whole rights thing, and then it also points directly at the virtues, and I just feel like that's so much more direct to where I actually want to get to, because otherwise what I have to say is I have to go off the whole rights thing and then make a case from there to virtues. And I think that like while I've heard Ian do that, that doesn't sound like a hill that I want to climb.
Oh yeah, I don't have the rhetoric to fight that.
Right.
But that would avoid a lot of problems with the rights situation because it's a direct connection compared to like bridging it yourself.
Yeah. Now, okay. Here's what I'll give you. This is another one that's similar. Oh fuck! I just pasted it into the notepad and it's like gigantic. Okay, maybe we don't have to go over that. Well, I'll just throw it up here. I'll just run through it, and we don't have to spend a whole bunch of time talking about it. But
okay,
this is something I've been working on because I read
that's a lot.
I know, and it keeps going. It's a scroller. You actually have to scroll for it. But okay, so this is from the Rosalind Hursthaus's book on virtue ethics. I crushed that book in like a week. And it just like blew my fucking mind in a bunch of places. And then at the end, she kind of lays out this line of reasoning. She lays it out backwards from how I put it. But I think that like she starts with the conclusion and then says, well, if this is true, then this would have to be true. Then that would have to be true. Then that would have to. So I just like laid it out in this direction. But this is, I like this argument, but I don't know that I can defend it. So I'd rather present it to you than have to actually like, because I'm not presenting this as I could win on a debate about this. I'm presenting it as I think this is really interesting, and I hope to get to a point where I could win a debate about it. But anyway, so the argument goes, when human beings act in accordance with justice, charity, temperance, courage, and honesty, it's conducive to the natural ends of human beings, which I defined as individual survival, individual enjoyment / freedom from pain, continuance of the species, and a good functioning social group. It's conducive to those natural ends of human beings in a rational way. I think that would be a really difficult premise to support. I think it's true, but I also don't know that I can support it right now. Premise 2, if a character trait is conducive to the natural ends of human beings in a rational way, then that character trait is a virtue. I think that one's really like prima facie pretty intuitive, so I don't know how much pushback that one would get, but maybe. Premise 3, if a character trait is a virtue, then a virtuous agent would characteristically act in accordance with that trait. I think that's just kind of definitional, kind of stipulative. I don't see a problem there. If a virtuous agent would characteristically act in a given way, then that way of acting is morally good. I think this is kind of like another thing that I intend to be stipulative, but I don't think that the argument actually has enough in it for this to really be stipulative, or it's going to require a whole bunch of extra stuff. So I think that like, but then if we grant all of that, then we would conclude acting in accordance with justice, charity, temperance, courage, and honesty is morally good. But I think that there are two huge problems here, and it's my ability to support premise 4 and premise 1.
I think 1's a big problem.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I think it falls under like there's so many subcategories of those things that you would find it would be really hard to judge how you derive a rational like train of thought, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm not following, but like there's so many ways that it would come down to like pure semantic. I don't think you would get past premise 1 just with semantics.
Yeah, well, I think that if we just say that like the natural ends of human beings are individual survival, individual enjoyment and freedom from pain, continuance of the species, and a good functioning social group, like I think that if we're having a good faith conversation, I don't think it's very hard to say like, yeah, these are pretty reasonable things to say that these are natural ends for anyone who's a human, right? Like I think it's pretty easy to see like those are.
Why do you think like honesty is necessary for survival?
Well, so remember, like this is saying that it's if you holistically act in accordance with all of these things,
oh, okay,
then that will holistically support all of these things. I think that like I think it would be hard to say that honesty directly contributes to individual survival, but I think the kind of person who is going, I think that these virtues are all connected to each other. So I think the kind of person who is maximizing their justice virtue is also going to have a lot of honesty. The kind of person who is maximizing charity is going to have quite a bit of honesty. The person maximizing temperance is going to exercise a decent amount of honesty. The person maximizing courage maybe doesn't have as much motivation for honesty, but I think that like that supports a willingness to be honest. And so like I think that there are ways that these kind of like interact with each other. But I don't think necessarily that you're going to say like each of the virtues equally contributes to each of the natural ends. I would just say that if we take it as a holistic picture, acting virtuously, which I'm defining as acting in accordance with those virtues, is going to, that holistically, characteristically, is going to rationally lead toward, like if we have a group of people and they're all acting in accordance with all of these principles, the result is going to be those 4 natural ends that I'm talking about, or that Hursthouse is talking about, being achieved.
Sure. I mean, just not to get too deep into it, I'll say one final thing. I think you're gonna have a real hard time getting past P1 with just pure semantics. I think that's gonna be like a hill.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's why, like, I prefaced immediately, like, please nobody come try to debate me on this. I am not claiming that this is something that I can debate or whatever. This is just something that's really interesting that I'm thinking about currently. Yeah, that's...
I think it's a really good idea. It's just going to be really hard to defend.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think it's possible to defend. In fact, I think part of why I wrote this down was that I think that book on virtue ethics does a really good job of defending this view. The problem is, I don't have, 300 pages that I can explain all of it.
I don't know if you can follow me or bring that one argument back up, like the other objective morality argument.
Oh yeah, the reflective agent one.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind looking deeper into that and giving you a deeper view. I can join your Discord or something.
Yeah, if you want to screenshot it or something, or I think I actually posted it in the Discord as well. Okay. So both of those I posted in there, and we had a little bit of a conversation about it, Lupine and I, and yeah, I think Lupine kind of pointed out the same thing, that these are really difficult premises to support, and it seemed like his position was he's not really fully on board with this, and I'm not able to motivate it to a point where I could tell him you now have reason to believe this. You know what I mean?
I think it's definitely motivatable. If that's even a word, but it's. I don't know. I would have to look. I have a screenshot, so I'll read in deep into it and give you a full set analysis on it.
I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. I think that's great. Yeah, I agree with you. That other one is motivatable. I just don't have the boots for that height right now. I think this one is the first one I put up from reflective agency to virtue ethics. I think that one's a lot easier to support. I just think that the problem, the reason that I want to get to the second one is because it so clearly lays out what the virtues are, why they're important. I just feel like that that one is almost an argument for both virtue ethics and ethical naturalism at the same time. Maybe that's why that one is so difficult, because it's trying to argue both of those points at the same time. And I just don't think that that's, you know what? I think that's the issue. I think I need to pick a fucking lane and stick to it, because if I want to make an argument for ethical naturalism, I just need to make an argument for ethical naturalism. I think this is a reasonable argument for virtue ethics as like a normative ethical view, but I think that like the meta-ethical view of ethical naturalism requires its own argument, and my problem is I'm trying to combine them.
You could make sub-premises, right? Like, you could make sub-premises and then just be like, because I'm not going to say that if you get someone who's, like, philosophically, like, well-read, they're definitely going to bring that up. But, like, in a standard conversation like this, you probably won't have to. So that might just be a sub-premises situation.
Yeah, maybe. But, you know, I don't know that I really want to make that long fucking argument any longer.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
But I appreciate you. Thank you for the conversation. I will await your critique with bated breath.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Awesome. W sober. All right. We'll see if we can actually have a more on topic conversation here. Hi, Mercy. How old are you?
Hey, I'm 37, so May 11th, 1989.
Fair enough. And do you believe in a God?
So this is kind of a rough question for me, because yes, I do believe in a higher power, but I don't necessarily subscribe to a specific religion. Because just like you, I was atheist. You know, I was kind of wandering, trying to figure out like what's out there. And I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous right now because like I've seen some of the ways people talk in the comments, and I just don't want to be hit with like super aggression trying to get to my truth, because you're there for truth, I'm here for truth, and you know, I want to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, I'll just ask that you do your best to ignore the comments as far as they refer to you, and then also remember, like, everybody that comes up here gets shit on by the comments. Every theist that comes up here gets shit on by the comments. When I'm up here, I get shit on by the comments. When I bring other atheist friends up here, they get shit on by the comments. So it's no issue with you.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess.
So okay. So what I would ask then, just to make sure that there's some kind of feedback or echo. I don't know if there's anything to do about that, like headphones.
You know what? I got you.
Okay.
Hold on. It's probably that.
Okay, so what I was going to say is, like, I just want to make sure. Oh, it is still there. But anyway, I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing when we talk about God. I'm talking about like a mind that created and sustains the universe, like the ultimate foundation of the rest of reality.
Yeah, and I guess like my point of view is like that's what got my attention is I saw God is fiction, and I can't prove that. That's the root of like all of my contention. So I don't know what he is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a he. I don't know if it's an entity. You know, I don't know anything past, you know, the questions that I continuously ask until you get past the Big Bang and expansion and, you know, all of these other deeper conversations. The question keeps asking why. So, like, what is the driving force after the next question why, right?
Well,
that's what I'm trying to get to.
Sure. So I think that, like, it sounds like what you're looking for is the ultimate thing. Like, you're looking for what is ultimate. And I would say, like, I think that theistic, I don't know the word I'm trying to use here, like, just like theistic thought over the last, you know, a few millennia, have put us in a place, maybe only the last like 1500 years or so. I think that like theistic school of thought that has pushed us into this position where we all think that there needs to be something ultimate, right? Because we've been told culturally, at least here in the West, that there must be an ultimate thing, and that thing must be God. And then as soon as we give up, any of us who give up a belief in a God, we even when we can give up a belief in a God, like, for example, I grew up Christian. When I gave up the belief in Christian God, I still believed in a God for a while. And then I believed in,
that's
like,
where I'm at.
Right. And I believed in animism. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So I used to believe that all things had like a spiritual component to them. Like rocks have spirits, and trees have spirits, and people have spirits, and the planet has a spirit. Like, I used to be an animist. So I had that view. So like I've gone through a bunch of different views. So it took me a long time. And I'm still in a point now where I still struggle with this idea of like, does there actually need to be something ultimate? I've heard people talk about it in a like, there could just be brute structures to reality, right? Like one way that I think about it sometimes is it could be the case that there is like an interconnected web of necessary structural principles at the foundation of reality. So there wouldn't be one specific thing. It could be like a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing where, rock beats scissors and scissors beats paper, but paper beats rock. So they all kind of are like intertwined and dependent on each other. So you could have this like kind of like cluster of interdependent things at the foundation. So there wouldn't be one ultimate thing, but maybe we would say that cluster of things is the ultimate thing, or compositely they're the ultimate thing, and then everything else is built on that.
And this is the thing that fucks with my mind, right? Because then, like, after you even maybe latch onto that idea, it's like, what brought that into existence?
Well,
it just keeps going on and on and on. So, like, when there's a claim that just says God is fiction, in my head, I'm saying I can't prove one way or the other.
Sure. So I'll say one more thing, and then I'll just move more directly to that, because I feel like maybe I'm dodging what you're actually wanting to talk about, and I apologize for that.
No, you're fine.
But what I would say when we're talking about like maybe there's like some set of principles that is fundamental, or maybe it is just like one natural principle that is the fundamental thing. What I would want to say is that it seems that existence is necessary. Like, if anything exists at all, so like let's take a couple of things. You and I both agree that things exist, right? There are things that exist. And I would guess that you and I both agree that it doesn't make sense to say that something came out of nothing.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if some things exist and something can't come out of nothing, then it must just be the case that there was never a state of existence where things didn't exist. So that just means that as much as it doesn't feel like an explanation, that whether there's an explanation or not, things had to always exist for one reason or another. And yeah, it would be nice to know the answer for what that reason is, but I don't think that we should just fill in an answer prematurely, right? I think we should wait.
I agree with you.
Okay.
That's kind of why I've been sitting here, listening.
Yeah, fair enough.
This entire time.
Okay, so now I'll stop dodging and stalling, and I'll get to your actual question. So, if you want to throw some rhetoric at me about how bad faith I've been, I'm with you. I'm not gonna get
You
mad.
were not supposed to be reading that, but like.
Okay, so
yeah, no, I mean it's just like I'm not up here to be like super smart. I'm sorry, I can't come up with like all of these crazy arguments. These are just things that I think of on a regular basis, and I guess what I'm getting at is that's where I'm stuck. Is at the very beginning, I keep asking myself, okay, then what next? Then what next? Then what next?
Well,
and again, I used to be atheist for a very, very long time. My grandmother, they're all Christian. I get, a lot of shit for not going to church and whatever the hell. But like, the point is, I heard you talking with another person up here and you didn't want to hear personal experiences. And I get that, because as far as you're concerned, like I could just be having some delusional, hallucination and it was a one-off, but it wasn't just a one-off, and then there's multiple things. Then I have to ask myself, like, what the hell happened? Because I'm not crazy. I
Yeah.
can evaluate it.
Well, so my thing isn't that I think people who have had personal experiences are crazy, or that they're even likely to be crazy. My position would be more something along the lines that if I have a bunch of different people relying on personal experience to justify contradictory conclusions, then clearly personal experience on its own isn't enough to guarantee a correct conclusion. So we have to have some other principle. That's why when people come up here and they talk about personal experience, I'm always asking them for some tool that we can use to determine which interpretations of personal experiences are correct and which ones are false, because it cannot be the case that they're all correct. Right? It could be the case that every interpretation of personal experience is wrong, but it can't be the case that they're all correct. And there are a lot of them that, like I said, are mutually exclusive. So that's the tool that I need. But I want to try to move on to motivating why I think that even if we don't know what the ultimate thing is, why we shouldn't, or why we should be confident that it's not a God. If we're defining a God, like the way that I've been defining a God, is a personal ultimate foundation, that means that the being has, like, it has a mind, it has intentional states, it has those kinds of things. And so there's a bunch of different arguments that I could give. One of my favorite ones that I've tried multiple times to give tonight is one that I call God from mind. And we'll run through this the way that I've done it with others. I'll give a premise. You let me know if you agree or disagree. And then if you agree, I'll move on to the next one. If you disagree, I'll try to motivate that premise. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. So premise number 1, God has a mind. What do you think?
Yeah, see, I was listening to you debate this before, and that's kind of where I'm stuck as well. Like you were talking about whether or not they have omniscience or knowledge, and if they're capable of knowledge, then they're capable of having a mental state. My problem with that, and correct me where I'm wrong, but my problem with that is that maybe the definition that we use for ourselves as human beings or beings on this planet is a completely different rule set of this higher power.
Right,
That they negate these rules in some way.
But then what you would have to say is that God just doesn't have knowledge, because you would have to say that, like, well, the only way that God has knowledge is if we completely redefine the word knowledge. But then I would say that we should just be using schmowledge or something, some other word. We shouldn't be using knowledge. And that in that case, we would just say God does not have knowledge. But again, if God doesn't have a mind, then I don't think that it's God. Because remember, what we said is that what we're talking about, or what I said, what we're talking about when we invoke the concept of God is, at the very least, a personal, ultimate foundation to reality. And when I say personal, I mean a thing that has a mind, has intentional mental states, has a will, those kinds of things. So if we're saying God is a thing that has, intentional mental states, then that requires that it has a mind. So if now we're saying that the God we're talking about doesn't have a mind, we're saying God has a mind and God doesn't have a mind, that's another internal
contradiction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we're not talking about God anymore. So I think that, like, just definitionally, analytically, if something qualifies as a God, it must have a mind.
Yeah, then I think you actually hit the nail on the head when you were saying, like, then we need to find a different word to discuss something that is similar to knowledge, because it's not knowledge. What I'm not talking about is knowledge. I'm talking about, like, something more on the lines of omniscience.
Yeah, but omniscience is having all knowledge. So that's knowledge.
Right, exactly. And I was listening to you talk about this before, and that's why, like, I was trying to pick your brain about, like, where...
Well, so here's what I would say, Mercy. If God does not have knowledge, or I should say, if God does not have a mind, then it's not a God. Then it's just, then all it is some kind of, natural force, like gravity or electromagnetism or whatever. Like it's something like that. It's not a mind. It's not an agent. It doesn't have intention. It didn't will the universe into existence or do any of those things. So if it doesn't have a mind, then if we're talking about something that doesn't have a mind, then we're not talking about a God anymore.
Yeah, that I don't know how to explain the things that I have gone through.
That's fine.
I know that's like a tough conversation to have, because you have no idea, like, where my position of this is. I promise you, I was atheist. I didn't ask for, these things to happen to me.
What I'm saying, though, Mercy, is that it sounds like what you're saying that you are believing in or think is likely to be true due to your experiences isn't a God. It doesn't fit the definition of what it would have to be in order for it to reasonably be defined as a God. So you're just saying that you believe in something, maybe you believe in some kind of supernatural force of some kind, that's fine, but based on what you're saying that you aren't... that
I don't even like you saying that, if I'm being honest with you.
No, that's fine. I'm not trying to tell you what you believe in. I'm just saying that, like...
No, of course.
Whatever...
I just mean, like, it's starting to sound, like, supernatural, and of course we're talking about God, and I get all that, but, like, it's just, that's how uncomfortable I am with, like, even approaching this. So I guess, listen, I have really been appreciative of the way that we've been talking. I will go ahead and take a look at your Discord and see if there's, like, some more information that I can pull from this. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. I just wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit on, where the line was, and I think I'm kind of starting to see it, but I want to flesh it out a bit more before I talk about things that I don't understand.
Well, I sincerely appreciate the conversation. I love anyone who is willing to engage honestly in good faith, and that is all I've gotten from you, so I appreciate it sincerely. And whether you join the Discord or not, or if you want to, like, think about this stuff and come back some other time, I would be happy to chat with you. And in the
Awesome.
Discord,
Thanks for
obviously,
having me.
we can have a bit more informal. I'm sorry, I cut you off. But in the Discord, we can also have more informal conversations. It's easier to just kind of like chat about stuff in there, where here I'm specifically trying to do debates.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being awesome, and I hope that I will get to talk to you again.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw some already, but yeah, W's for Mercy or Mercy. I don't know. I should have asked her. I don't know if I just misgendered. Okay. If I misgendered you, Mercy, I sincerely apologize. I guess I just assumed that your pronouns were she, her. I don't know. Not my intention to be an asshole. But anyway, yeah, awesome guest. Fantastic. Okay, anyway, we'll go ahead and move on to the next person. Okay, all right. Okay, so nobody, did you mean to request?
Yeah, I just wanted to recommend a book if that's okay.
Oh, sick. Okay, what book?
It's called Human Rights, Essays on Justification and Applications.
Okay, hold on one second. Human Rights, Essays on what?
Justification and Applications.
Justification and Applications, okay.
And then I just think, I think it's essay 3 would be really interesting for you. It's called The Is Ought Problem Resolved. It's around like page 100.
Is ought problem resolved? I mean, that sounds extremely interesting, because I think that there is a resolution to that, and I think that like Gaworthian argument kind of tries to demonstrate that there's a way around it, but I would definitely be interested to read a paper or an essay about that specifically.
Yeah, this is, as far as I'm aware, I haven't read all of them, but this is like a book about Gaworth, or responses to, or his responses to people about him. So I just thought you'd really appreciate that paper.
I very much do. Thank you for the rec, and also thank you for being awesome and supporting it.
Yeah, you too, dude.
Sincerely appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah. But that's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Take care of yourself, man. Awesome. Well, that's cool as hell. I say this a lot, but it doesn't seem like I say it enough, in my opinion. I am blown away by how much support and kindness I've gotten from people on here. I never expected that would be the case. So I just genuinely thank you so much. Non-consequential, hypothetical, and parallel. Oh, thank you, Nobody on Fire. Well, thank you, Nick. I mean, that's awesome. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I appreciate that some people, are at the very least entertained by my antics. But if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. LH, you're next. I don't expect this next one to take very long. Hi, L19293838929292973.
Hey,
How old are you?
how are you? I'm 18.
Okay, and what should I call you?
Sorry? Call me John.
Okay, fair
That's
enough.
fine.
Let me write this down real quick though. 19293833838 39292939
Yeah, I'm sorry about the user name.
2929273 and we're at 330. And do you believe in a God?
Yeah, I do. I'm a Catholic.
Okay, cool. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I would say, from a atheist perspective, probably the most rational argument would be to look at the Big Bang. There's a beginning to the universe, and obviously, mass energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And I believe that a supernatural force, is required to break those laws of physics and create matter. And that's just my position.
Why it sounded like you kind of appealed to the Big Bang, but the Big Bang doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the universe had a beginning. So I'm wondering why we would think that the universe had a beginning.
The Big Bang is the beginning of the universe.
No.
It's when
Nope.
It is.
Okay, so
It is.
clearly
We've
you're just
observed it.
wait, what did you just say?
We've observed the cosmic microwave, the oldest light in the universe that
Yeah.
emerged from the Big Bang.
No, yeah, that tells us about the beginning of the expansion, but it doesn't tell us anything about the universe beginning to exist. So there was a survey done back in, I think, like 2024, maybe even late 2023, called the Copenhagen Survey on Black Holes and Fundamental Physics. And then because that survey was really popular, I don't remember the name of the magazine. It was like Science Physics. I don't remember the name of the magazine, but there was a magazine that had the team who did that original survey in Copenhagen of a small sampling of physicists and cosmologists. They did a much larger survey where they got like 1,700 responses on most of the questions from, you know, professionals in the field. And the response that they got was that, you know, when they asked, what's the meaning of the Big Bang? What does it tell us? And an overwhelming majority, 68% of the nearly 1,700 respondents to this question, said that the Big Bang is a theory that says the universe evolves from a hot, dense state, that says nothing about whether there was an absolute beginning of time or not. So we cannot appeal. So we cannot appeal to the Big Bang either to say that there was a beginning or to say that there was not a beginning. So if your position relies on there having been a beginning, then you would need to provide a demonstration of why we should think that there was a beginning, and you can't appeal to the Big Bang because, as we just saw, the science says the Big Bang doesn't tell us about the beginning.
Yeah. So you're a believer in the infinite universe?
No, I don't take a position because I don't think that I have enough evidence to warrant taking a position on whether the universe is past infinite or not. But because I don't believe the universe began, any argument that relies on saying the universe began would require that to be motivated.
All right. Well, what do you believe? I'm trying to like find something to debate you on. I don't know.
Yeah, we're debating right now. You just need to demonstrate that the universe had a beginning.
Well, it's not possible. I can't, you know, we can't observe the singular dense superheated matter that erupted from the Big Bang and caused the expansion of the universe. We can't observe that.
Okay. Well, so my problem is then if we don't know whether the universe had a beginning, and the universe would have had to have a beginning if God exists, then that means that we don't know whether God exists. That we're not justified in drawing the conclusion that God exists, right? Because
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so then what it seems like is that the closest we could ever come to believing in God is being agnostic, from a rational perspective.
That's fair. That's fair to say, honestly. But you know, I just think that the infinite universe theory, I don't think it really lines up. I'm a believer in eternalism, if you're familiar with that.
Like B theory?
Einstein's
yeah, the block
eternalist
universe
theory. Yeah, that.
Yep. Typically,
And,
the name that it typically goes by that I hear is B theory. So there's A theory, which would be presentism, and then B theory, which would be eternalism or the block universe.
Yeah. And if I've done my research correctly, I'm kind of a novice in it. I haven't really researched it enough as I should. But from that, I believe there is a beginning to the universe, and yeah, I think that God created that beginning.
So I think that have you ever heard of an individual who goes by the name Catholic Thinker?
I believe, yeah, I've heard of him.
Okay. I recommend him as someone who holds a view that sounds similar to yours. I think that it may have gotten shaken up recently, so I don't know exactly where he stands on eternalism or simultaneity. So you would have to double check with him to see exactly where he's at currently. But I know that if not currently, then at least for quite a while, he held that eternalism view, and he may still. And he's a very intelligent person. So if you're saying that you're kind of new to this, he's someone who may be a good resource for you because he's obviously, from his name, you can tell he's also Catholic, and he's also someone who holds, like I said, what sounds like a similar, maybe Thomistic view. What I would say then, though, is my issue here is that if if we're taking this eternalist view and we're saying that God is outside of time and simple, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. So if God is outside of time and simple, then that means that there was no beginning to God's act of creating the universe. He just is constantly either creating or emanating or whatever verb we want to use. But what that means is that the term create means to bring something into existence, but God never there was no state of existence where God brought the universe into existence. He just would have existed without beginning or end, and would have, in all states of existence, been emanating or creating the universe, in which case the universe would exist eternally without beginning or end, even though from a temporal perspective, we could say that the block has a beginning and an end. That doesn't mean that the universe actually, the universe simpliciter doesn't have a beginning. Time has a beginning. So I think that there's a difference here. There's a disconnect where we're saying, okay, it is a valid conception of B theory to say that there is a first and last moment. Like that's, or just a first moment or just a last moment or whatever. That's fine. I don't have an issue with saying I'm an eternalist who believes in a first and or last moment. I'm fine.
Yeah.
That's why I don't take. I'm so sorry. I'm going off on a bunch of tangents, and I apologize. I'll try to bring this back.
Nah, you're good, dude. You're good.
But that's why I don't take a position on the infinite past, is because, as far as I know, from actually, I super chatted Dr. Blitz one time when I was debating Catholic Thinker, because Catholic Thinker said, no, you
Yeah.
could have a B theory universe with a first and last moment. And I said, nuh-uh. And I went and I super chatted Dr. Blitz, like, could this? And Blitz was like, yeah, of course that works. And I was like, damn it. So I lost that debate.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's why I don't take a position on it. However, what we're saying is that even though there is a first and maybe last temporal moment, that doesn't mean that there was actually a beginning of the universe starting to exist. There's just that beginning of the temporal nature. So what I would say then is that because God would have existed without beginning or end, and there's no state of existence where God isn't in whatever way he's creating or willing or emanating the universe. There's no state of existence where he's not doing that, which means that the universe exists eternally in the same exact sense that God does, which means that the universe never came into existence, which means that the universe wasn't created. And if God exists, then he did create the universe. Therefore, that's not a God anymore. We're not talking about God anymore. We're talking about some, ontological grounding for the universe maybe, but we're not talking about God, because God would be a creator and this thing isn't a creator.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. I disagree with that because I heard what you were saying before. You believe that God needs a mind. Like, I can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, if the fundamental definition of God, like the kind of like bare theism, are you familiar with that term?
Not really, but I
Okay.
get what you're saying.
Yeah, so bare, like BARE, just like, your body is
Yeah.
bare when you're naked. Bare theism is just like
Yeah.
theism stripped of all of its clothes, all of its extra commitments, right? So
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
like the fundamental commitments of just theism simpliciter? Well, typically, in current, philosophical talk, when we talk about bare theism or God simpliciter, we're going to be saying something that is personal, meaning that it has a mind and intentional states, those kinds of things, and is
Yeah.
ultimate, and grounds reality. So having the qualities of both being personal and ultimate, I think, are the two main things that we need in order to call something a God. And then from there, you can say like, oh, it's got the omni properties, or it has some specific intentions or specific wills or whatever. Like, that's all extra. But I'd just say like the most fundamental thing to be called a God would be that it's personal and ultimate. And it sounds like the thing that you're talking about, or not that you're talking about, if we're talking about something
Yeah,
that
yeah.
doesn't, if we're talking about something that doesn't have a mind, then it's not personal, which means it doesn't fit that fundamental definition of a God.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I understand your point then.
Okay. Yeah, and so, well, that argument, well, no, it doesn't really apply, I don't think. But basically, like, I think what it boils down to with this, I don't know. Well, I guess there's a million different directions that I could go. So it sounds like, kind of from this, because it sounded like you were giving something similar to the Kalam, where you're saying like the universe must have had a beginning and the God must be responsible for
Yeah.
that. But it sounds like from your
Yeah.
actual perspective on God, there wouldn't have actually been an act of creation, which means because the universe never came into existence, and that's what creation means, is bringing something into existence. So I don't know. It seems strange to me to call what you believe in a God.
Yeah, I think that's just where we disagree. I think like it's very hard to conceptualize it as like, a human. That's my belief that, we cannot comprehend God fully, and I think it's kind of foolish to I mean, do you get what I'm saying? To put him into
It sounds like
human
cope.
philosophical terms.
It
I
just sounds
mean,
like cope. It just sounds
yeah,
like,
I
yeah, I
get
know
that.
that this thing doesn't make any sense, and I know that I don't have a reason to believe in it, but I've got this really, really fancy escape hatch that lets me get out of having to think about the fact that I can't justify my position.
Well, it's just like, you know, sorry, I'm trying to like think of my words here.
Well, think of them
I
all
think
right now and make sure that they're correct, or I'll fuck you up. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, yeah. So eternalism. So like, I'm still confused on your view of eternalism. You said that God cannot create the universe because he's infinitely creating it. I think that like just sorry, elaborate on that. I was a bit confused there.
Yeah, so the word create, as far as I know, means to bring something into existence, which implies a state of existence where that thing didn't exist and a subsequent state of existence where that thing did exist. That can't be the case for the God that you're talking about with the universe, because that would require a state of existence where God existed without the universe and a subsequent state of existence where God existed with the universe, which would require God to experience a change of states, which would require God to be in time, which would mean that both that God is not ultimate and that God is not the creator of the universe, and therefore doesn't, the thing that we're talking about, again, doesn't qualify to be called a God.
Yeah, okay. I get that.
So I think
You're
what you
really
have to
knowledgeable,
do.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were done talking.
No, you're good. You're good.
Well, what I was going to say is that I think that what you end up having to do is equivocate on a bunch of these terms. You have to equivocate on what it means to create, and I think that that's a problem for your view. And then, when we talk about things like knowledge or whatever, I think that a lot of that is equivocation. And I know a lot of Catholics will just straight up say, yes, it's equivocation. They won't use the word equivocation, but they'll say that it's all analogical.
Yeah.
And I just think that, like, that essentially means that it's equivocation. And I know that there's, like, maybe a Catholic would want to say, like, oh, it's like a benign type of equivocation because there's no other way to talk about it. But again, I think that just gets us back to Cope.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I understand your position. Thanks for your help, dude. I think I just need to do more research on the topic. I think you've kind of like helped me understand the atheist perspective more.
Yeah, well, hey,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you for the conversation. I'm streaming this to YouTube, so if you want to go back and listen to the conversation, you can find my YouTube channel. I would love a subscription, but obviously you're not obligated to do that. You can watch it either way. But yeah, I got you, bro. If you're able to just watch it, and maybe you can see some points where I went wrong, or points where where like you didn't say exactly what you were trying, it didn't get across exactly what you're trying to get across or whatever. Maybe you can come up with better ways to explain your position or whatever, so that's just a resource for you to be able to listen back to the conversation, see if you can find the places where it should have gone differently. And then also, I definitely recommend looking up people like Catholic Thinker. I don't know a ton of the other ones because obviously I spend more time reading just like philosophical stuff than actually looking for Christian apologists. But he's somebody that I have a lot of trust and respect in, because I do genuinely think that he cares about having a rational position. I disagree that his position is rational, but I think that he actually cares about trying to support it. And I think that that's somebody that, if you're kind of new to this, could offer you some resources, either just by watching like videos that he's made, or when he goes live sometimes watching him, or he could tell you like, here's some good books to read or whatever that are going to kind of bring you up to speed on some of these concepts.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, dude. You're really knowledgeable. You helped me out.
Well, I sincerely appreciate the honest conversation. I'll be honest, when I saw your username, I expected a troll, but I appreciate that you weren't, and that we had a good convo. And I hope that you think about this stuff, look into it, and whatever way you do that, I hope that it results in us having another conversation sometime in the future.
Yeah, I will for sure, dude. Thanks.
All right, take care of yourself.
I'll see you, bro. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, W's in the chat for John. That was a great conversation. Super good faith. Rect CT. Awesome. Yeah. Sober, I don't really like doing co-host. I've been doing lives with Lobes for a while now. Like most weeks I'll do like Thursday nights with Lobes. And so because Lobes brings me up on his stream, and has been doing that since before anybody had any idea who I was, I let Lobes up here, and then I also will let like Monkey Boy or Ems or people like that up and kind of co-host with me sometimes, but I try to stick to just kind of one-on-one. What I don't like is I see a lot of streams out there where people are like doing these big panels and no progress gets made. That's what I don't like. I don't want no progress being made. I want to actually keep the conversation linear. And I think the more people you get involved in the conversation, the harder that is to maintain. Not because I don't trust people. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Bradley Cooper. There's way too much going on with the panels. It's not for me. Sometimes there are people who can do panels. Like there are two different guys who do philosophy streams, two different guys named Jordan that do philosophy streams. I think both of them are really good. They maintain their panels, but they're also not really doing debates. But yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, please make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Both of the people requesting right now have been spamming the chat, so do I just go with the less egregious spammer? I guess. Hi, LH. How old are you?
I'm 18.
When were you born?
2008. I have a speech impediment. That's why I sound like that.
No, it has nothing to do with the speech impediment. It has to do with the tone, the timbre of your voice.
Yeah, it's something stupid with my voice. I'm sorry.
Whatever. You're good. What God do you believe in?
I'm a Christian Catholic.
Fair enough. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
So I have a cosmological argument.
Yeah, like the Kalam or a different one?
I think it is. Everything that begins to exist has a cause, since the universe had a beginning of it. So it requires a uncaused first cause.
Well,
components.
So the way that I think that you want to format this, just to prevent falling into any like validity traps or anything like that, the way I would recommend formatting it is everything that begins to exist has a cause, which is essentially what you said for your first premise. Then I think that the second premise, you just want the universe began to exist, and then we would conclude the universe has a cause. I don't think you want to add more to it now. I think if you wanted to add more to it, you would want to go to like a second stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can go.
I was just, my biggest contention here.
Okay.
My biggest contention here is just going to be with premise 2. So I would just ask you to provide some kind of demonstration or logical argument for why I should believe that the universe began to exist.
So I've been going to church my whole life. I've learned that the Bible, everything that's happened in the world, there's been proven stamps of timelines from the Bible that have specifically came into the world. So like there's been proven things from the Bible that have been in the world, like Jesus's tomb, like all of that.
No, I mean that's
has been
false.
Found.
Nope, that's just false.
Can you? I'm not trying to be rude. Can you explain me how it's false?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons and tons of stuff in the Bible that just did not ever come true. Predictions that never came true. And also, like, I mean, if you want to like use the example of Jesus's tomb, we have no reason to believe that he was ever even put into a tomb, much less that we know where the tomb is. Most likely, if he was actually a real person who was actually crucified, most likely he would have just been thrown into a pit with a bunch of other bodies of executed people and then covered with dirt. There's no reason to think that he would have ever been put into a tomb. It's convenient for the story, but the story wasn't written until at least several decades after he was supposed to have died. So there's no reason, and the story was written anonymously with no reason to think that the authors had any knowledge that would support or any reason for anyone to believe that their claims in the books are true. So all we have is like what I would consider at best fan fiction. Like there was some guy that a bunch of people followed, and then, several decades later, people wrote fan fiction about it. Like, let's imagine, let me think of famous person who died 70 years ago. I'm trying to find an example of a famous person who died.
Sorry, I'm nervous. This is like my first time ever.
Oh no, you're totally good. So let's say, do you know who Bela Lugosi is?
I believe I've heard that name before.
So Bela Lugosi it's a famous actor. He died back in the 1950s. He is like, when you think of Count Dracula, like that's like Bela Lugosi is like the iconic image that we think of when we think of Dracula. That's the actor that I'm talking about. Okay. The reason I bring up Bela Lugosi is that he died a long time ago, right? Like I'm 40 and he still died decades before I was born.
You look good for 40. You look like you're 26.
Oh no, I'm old as fuck. It's because I'm so fat. I got a baby face, right?
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
It's not my fault. It's true. Anyway, so the reason I bring up Bela Lugosi is to say, like, okay, now we know stuff about you and I. We know stuff about Bela Lugosi. Oh, hey. I fucking love the pompadour. Okay, so we know things about Bela Lugosi because we have him captured on camera in movies. We have writings from him, about him, all those kinds of things. Now let's imagine we didn't have any of that. Let's imagine that we didn't have any recordings of anything he ever did or said. Let's imagine nobody who was alive when he was alive wrote anything down about him. Let's imagine that there is no information about him whatsoever, just a bunch of people who've been telling stories about him since he died. And now, today, for the first time in history, some person who has no credentials and doesn't even let anybody know who they are writes a post on the internet about Bela Lugosi. No one has ever written anything down about him before, so it's now 70 years after his death, the first time someone goes on the internet under an anonymous account and writes a big long story about a bunch of stuff Bela Lugosi did, people that he healed from sickness, poor people that he helped, and that after he died, he resurrected from the dead. Do you think that the story from that random person on the internet written down about a person who died 70 years ago and no one has written anything down about him since, do you think that you should just take whatever that person on the internet writes as true without further investigation?
No.
Okay, I completely agree. That's what the Gospels are. The Gospels are that random internet post about a guy that no one has literally ever written anything about in the several decades since he died, and now everybody just assumes that the stuff that they wrote down was true, when we would never do that today. So that's why I don't think that we should believe what the Gospels have to say, because it's just at best fan fiction about some guy that no one actually knew any true facts about.
I do see where you're coming from. We can also say the same about George. I don't know if this is like anywhere near, if this is true, but also George Washington.
No.
Like there's no like.
No, because we have his handwriting. We have his signature on things. We have things other people wrote about him while he was alive. We don't have any of that for Jesus. We don't have a document that Jesus signed. We don't have Jesus's diary. We don't have things written down by people who liked or disliked Jesus while he was alive. We just have fan fiction written about him several decades after he supposedly died. That's what I'm saying. If I told you that there was some guy, Drew Davidson, which is his name I'm pulling out of my ass. Let's imagine I start telling you this story about this guy, Drew Davidson, who died, 60, 70 years ago. And I tell you all these things that he did. He could flap his arms and fly. He could astral project from his body in a way where other people around him could see that that's what was happening. One time he punched a blind guy and the blind guy was able to see and didn't even feel the punch. One time he kicked a pregnant lady in the butt and she gave birth to 12 babies at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I could tell you all these stories about this guy that I don't even remember the name I came up with, Drew Davidson. I could tell you all these stories about this guy. And the thing is about Drew Davidson, what he told us when he, because he died and he resurrected from the dead. And he told us that the person who brought him back was Eunice, the universe farting unicorn. And that's where the universe actually comes from, is Eunice. And he experienced her while he was dead, and he comes back. So now, do you think that based on just me telling you this story without knowing anything about me, my reliability, or any information about this Drew Davidson guy, and having no other information about Eunice, do you think that you should believe in Drew and Eunice?
No.
Yeah, I agree. But that's exactly the evidence that we have for Christianity. What I've just described to you is the evidence for Christianity. If you don't think that what I've just given you would be enough evidence to believe in Eunice, then it seems from my perspective, you would have to agree there isn't enough evidence to believe in Christianity.
Yeah, I see. Now where I come from is I also believe that the universe and the natural laws, they're like perfectly fine-tuned to support life. So it's like, as if you can argue this level, like it suggests there's a big designer rather than just a random chance.
So I disagree. There are two ways that we could move forward here. Do you want to present an argument for why you think I should agree with you about fine-tuning, or would you prefer for me to present an argument for why I don't think we should consider fine-tuning to be evidence for God?
Let's do. I think you should go for the why fine-tuning doesn't support.
Fantastic, no problem. I need to write down that whole Drew Davidson thing real quick because I like that.
Okay. That was a good one. I can't lie.
I'm just gonna write down Drew Davidson and hope later when I see it, I know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'll do?
That came up fast on the spot.
LH. Okay. All right. So actually, back to the conversation. Okay. So, this is what I like to do when I present arguments. I have, this argument is 4 premises. So what I want to do is just present the first premise. You can tell me if you agree or disagree. If you agree, I'll just move to the next one. If you disagree, I'll try to motivate why I think you should agree. Is that fair?
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So the first premise is just going to be that if God exists, then every way the universe could have been would have been life permitting. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And then my second premise is going to be that if every way the universe could have been would have been life permitting, then life doesn't require fine tuning in order to exist. Do you agree?
Can you explain more in depth on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're saying that any possible configuration the universe could have taken, any fine tuning, coarse tuning, no tuning whatsoever, God would have been able to bring life about in that configuration of the universe. So then what that tells us is that life doesn't rely on fine tuning in order to exist, because with God being there, life could exist in the non-fine tuned universe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So just to clarify and make sure that we're on the same page, if every way the universe could have been would be life permitting, then life doesn't require fine tuning. Are you agreeing? You see where I'm going with that? Or you agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I would say that if life doesn't require fine tuning, then theism doesn't make predictions about fine tuning. Because you might say, well, we know that God would want to bring about life so that he could, have a relationship with his creation or whatever. Like, that's fine. You could say that you know that about God, but that doesn't mean that you would predict a fine-tuned universe, because, as we said, if God exists, we don't need fine-tuning for life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so then, because what evidence is, by its very nature, is data that's predicted by a hypothesis. If the theistic hypothesis doesn't predict fine-tuning, which we just established it wouldn't, then the appearance of fine-tuning isn't evidence for God's existence. So then the conclusion would be that if God exists, fine-tuning cannot be evidence for God.
Okay. Can I go off of that philosopher thing real quick?
I'm not sure what you mean, but sure.
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard philosopher. Does the name C.S. Lewis ring a bell at all?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you've heard this before. I'm sorry if you have. This is my main argument towards it is that he argued that since objective morality requires an authoritative standard, there's a supreme what's the word? Law, a supreme person or God must exist.
Okay, so are you agreeing with me that fine-tuning is an evidence and moving on to something else?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, cool. So then here's the problem with the moral argument. Because the fundamental version of the moral argument, I understand what C.S. Lewis is saying, and I think what he's basically getting at is saying that you're saying that you think that if there are objective moral facts, then there has to be a fact giver, or if there are moral laws, there has to be a law giver, right? There has to be that authoritative figure. So you're saying if objective moral facts exist, then God exists. And then you're saying that, yes, objective moral facts do exist. And so then the conclusion would be, therefore, God exists, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my issue with this argument, and I have to give credit to, there's a philosopher named Dan Linford, extremely intelligent guy. And
yeah, I think I learned about him in college.
I don't know. He's a current guy. He's a current guy right now. He's out there, he's a professor at some college or other right now. He's a really, really smart dude, though. Anyway, one of the things I heard him talking about the moral argument on a YouTube video one time. So everybody, I get my arguments from YouTube. I heard him talking about the moral argument on a YouTube video one time. And what he was saying is, and I think that he was exactly correct, that the second premise, it's not possible for you to support that second premise that objective moral facts exist without blowing up this argument. Because either you say objective moral facts exist, and don't require God. If you provide a demonstration for objective moral facts that doesn't rely on God, then you would have disproven your first premise, rendering the argument nullified, right? Because now we believe in objective moral facts, but we don't believe that they require God. Therefore, this doesn't demonstrate God's existence. So you wouldn't want to support the second premise that way. But the problem is, if you do have to refer to God in order to support that objective moral facts exist, then what you've done is made the argument circular. Because you're saying God exists because objective moral facts exist, and objective moral facts exist because God exists. So then the argument boils down to God exists because God exists.
Yeah.
So I think that moral argument fails based on, there is no way to support the second premise that doesn't ruin that argument.
Okay.
So I think we did the Kalam, fine-tuning the moral argument. Do you have another one for me? Or do you want to push back on that? I'm so sorry. I'm just like assuming that you
No,
agree with me.
it's fine. We can move on. I do have a teleological argument, but
Well,
that's
that's just
also the fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's just the
fine-tuning.
fine tuning. So
Yeah, and like I said, I just think that if God exists, because of like, especially the Christian God, because he could create life in any configuration the universe could be, I just don't see how we could say that God existing predicts fine tuning. And if God's existence doesn't predict fine tuning, then fine tuning isn't evidence for God's existence.
yeah, did I already do the cosmological argument?
That was the first one we did. Yep.
Okay. I think I got all of my stuff down.
Okay. Well, hey, it's been a great conversation, LH.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. I really do appreciate you letting me come on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like I was telling the person before you, John, I stream this to YouTube. And so the video is there if you want to go back and watch the conversation. And if you see points where I misinterpreted something or misunderstood, or you didn't get the point across the way that you wanted to, and there's something that, a mistake that I made that you weren't able to catch me on, I'd be happy to have you come back and let me know where I went wrong. Or if you think about this stuff and come up with a different argument that you want to discuss, I'd be happy to do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope you have a good one. Take care.
Thank you too.
Awesome. Back to back, essentially perfect guests. Like, yes, thank you everybody in the chat. W's for LH. Like, it does not often happen where we get two such fantastic guests back to back. This fucking camera, I tell you what, I ordered a new camera and I cannot wait to get it. It's so fucking annoying. But yeah, like I said, from John to LH, back to back, great guests. And then before that, we had Mercy. That was a really solid conversation. I enjoyed. So really, honestly, three back to back strong conversations that I'm really happy that I got to have. So super stoked about that. Thank you. All right, what are we looking at for time? Okay, it's 9:45 here in Central Time Zone. We'll see if maybe we can have one more conversation. Hey, Lobes. Good to see you as always. Oh, thanks, Bradley. Oh, I was just about to bring up the other person that was requesting, and then they ran away. They sat there through that whole conversation, and then when I was about to bring them up, ran away. Well, ran away maybe is not the right way to put it. Stopped requesting. Rescinded their request. So I have been talking a little bit tonight about the fact that I have my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@OgarDebates. And I also have started a Discord, which you can reach by going to tinyurl.com/OgarDebates. So yeah, the YouTube, I'd love to get more subscribers over there, because then it opens a lot of doors having more subscribers. So I'm really looking for an opportunity to do more there, and you guys' help will allow me to do that. And then in Discord, it's an opportunity for us to have good conversations, to learn and grow together. I'm, like I was talking about earlier, kind of on my philosophy arc. I know people get the impression that I am claiming to be educated on philosophy. I am not. I have read 2 or 3 actual philosophy books, depending on what you consider a real philosophy book. So yeah, my level of education is extremely lacking, and while I grow, I'm obviously going to want to talk about that stuff, and the Discord is a place for us to talk about the things that I'm learning, and for you to bring the things that you're learning and have those conversations as well. So that's my pitch for the YouTube and the Discord. So yeah, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I don't have anybody requesting right now. I'll probably yap for a little bit longer, but if I don't get any more requests, I may just end a little bit early. I did start early. Typically, I only do 8 to 10, but I started at like a little after 7 instead of waiting until 8, and so I've been going for coming up on almost 3 hours now, over 2.5 hours now. So I may just end the live if I don't get anybody requesting here momentarily or shortly. But oh, the other thing that was cool, and I didn't even put it in my notes. Hey, thanks, Bradley Cooper. I appreciate Sober coming up and having a conversation as well. I think that was enjoyable. I think we lost some viewers because it wasn't a debate, However, I enjoyed the conversation, so I consider that a win regardless. I love the, like, I really, 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 really like that second argument that I showed Sober, but I think he's 100% correct that, like, trying to actually argue that or debate that argument would be this, like, Sisyphean task. Like, it would be so hard to really pull that. Yeah, well, because, like, the first premise is just a monster to try to motivate. Like, I think that, like, essentially the first premise. Well, okay, so what I realized while talking to Sober was that difficult argument, the reason that it's so difficult is that what I'm trying to do is provide an argument for a meta-ethical view and a normative ethical view at the same time. And so I think that trying to give both of those, trying to defend or motivate both of those positions in one syllogism is just too much. So I think that is me biting off more than I can chew. And, Sober made a good point that, you could just have, like, sub-premises, but I just think that, like, that argument is already a beast, and I think adding to it is not a great way to go about it. So I think what I can do is simply take the my, like, reformat of the Gaworthian argument that allegedly Ian runs and run that as an argument for virtue ethics. I get emotivism, both sides. I do, like, non-cognitivism. I get it. I think that it's like, I think if I hadn't been, if I wasn't convinced of ethical naturalism, then I would probably be a non-cognitivist as well. I think that of all of the anti-realist positions, non-cognitivism makes the most sense to me. I don't think error theory makes any sense. That's a strong way to put it. I don't find error theory to be convincing. I don't see that there is actually a really good argument for error theory. I think error theory is like, yeah, objective morals, whatever. I don't want to try to misrepresent the error theory, but I've never heard an argument for error theory that I found compelling. I do hear arguments for non-cognitivism or emotivism that are compelling. I just think that the arguments for moral realism are better. They win. Let's see. We'll see what Lobes has to say about how it feels to lose.
It feels good, man. Losing's the new winning.
Oh, shit. Well, I've been doing this thing all backwards.
Yeah, you got too many points. You think you're playing basketball, but we're playing golf, homie.
Fuck. I just had Grayson was requesting. I was going to bring him up too, and we could have a three-way.
It's not. I mean, it is June though. Maybe we want it to be gay in a three-way. I guess I don't know. I was gonna bring up Lonely Island, but anyway, yeah, I was just gonna listen, but then you started talking about philosophy of ethics. And that's something that I've been inquisitive of lately. I haven't really been doing a lot of research into it, but I'm an anti-realist when it comes to ethics, morality. I don't have well fleshed out syllogistic reasons for it. Whenever I think about it, ultimately there's something that is subjective, like the what did you call it? The Brosian or whatever it was position that you hold, like it's grounded in logic. I like the way that it works, and I think that it's correct. I simply think that calling it objective is like a category error, because this is a foundation for a framework that is meaningful to the subjects that think about it.
Well, so I think that, like, there are two different arguments. Like, there's the probably better one is the Gaworthian one that allegedly Ian runs, that one that starts with "I'm an agent," and then I have
That's
goals.
the word I was thinking, trying to remember.
Oh,
Gaworthian.
Yeah, well, there's this philosopher whose last name was Gaworth, and so that argument is based on his work, and so it's called Gaworthian for that reason. Um, but well, okay, so now both sides is agreeing with you. Well, maybe not agreeing with you, but maybe taking what you're saying a little step further and saying there's always an equivocation when we talk about morality being objective. But when I'm talking about morality being objective, I'm just saying the same thing that we always mean when we use the word objective, which is to say that its truth is stance independent. Like the truth maker for moral claims is stance independent. That's my position, right? Um, yeah, Fen Faithless is saying that it could be intersubjective, like dependent on a consensus, but I disagree with that as well. I think that just by the very nature, like, okay, so this is the argument that I was giving before. Like I was talking about two arguments with Sober. One I cannot defend and wouldn't try to, but one I think I can, and that one I'll run with you like we're debating it, and we'll see how it goes. Fair? Can we do that?
Oh shit! Are you gonna crash out on me?
I know. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna look for reasons to.
You're gonna try. Well, I got the piano ready just in case.
Motherfucker. Yeah, that's what. If you really want to see me crash out, that's the way to do it. Okay, so premise one, I'm a reflective agent. I think that we can both agree that I have the ability to, that I'm an agent, and I have ability to reflect on my actions and choices. Right?
Correct. I agree.
Okay, and then now this second premise might be a little bit tough, but my contention is that if I'm a reflective agent, my goal is eudaimonia. And I don't know if you're familiar with the term eudaimonia.
How do you pronounce that? Eudaimonia?
Yeah, it's spelled EUDAIMONIA.
I don't know what it means.
Okay, fair enough. One way to think about it is just the good life. And what a deeper way, this fucking camera, dude, I'm so pissed. I'm getting a new one, and I just...
I guess so. Like you, not euphoria, but you. It's got you in it.
Yeah, eudaimonia.
Like
yeah, so it's a concept that Aristotle came up with, and the idea being, like I said, that it kind of just translates to the good life. But maybe a better way to say it would be like a life that that you could reflect on and be completely happy with. Like everyone who is a reflective agent has the goal of getting to the end of their life or near the end of their life and being able to look back and be satisfied with the life that they lived.
Yeah, be like, I'm ready. I've done it all.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, or even if you're in the doctor's office getting that, cancer diagnosis. Let's say you're only 50 years old and you just got your cancer diagnosis and you only have 6 months left to live, and you want to your goal in that moment would be, one of your goals in that moment would be to be able to look back at your life and say, I lived a good life that I can be happy with, and I don't have regrets. Now, I don't know that anybody ever actually gets to that point and actually says I have no regrets, but that would be the goal that we are striving for. I think that that's a reasonable thing to say.
I agree. Yeah.
So then, okay, so that's premise 2. If I'm a reflective agent, my goal is eudaimonia. Premise 3, if my goal is eudaimonia, then I have a reason to act in accordance with virtue. And so basically my claim there is just that if I want to be able to have that attitude at the end of my life, that I can look back at my whole life and say I'm happy with it, the best way to achieve that is to have lived my life in accordance with virtue. Because if I'm always approaching every situation virtuously, that is what's going to give me the highest odds of being able to end my life or get to the end of my life and be satisfied with it.
Okay. So I think that the eudaimonia could be different from person to person. I think that a reasonable person would fall under this category. I think I would fall under that category as well, living virtuously to achieve eudaimonia. But I feel like certain people, I don't know if maybe psychopaths fit into this category, or maybe someone who's not quite a psychopath, but they might not really have that same kind of feeling of moral obligation.
Yeah, they wouldn't have that feeling, but then they would just be irrational. And if they're irrational, then we can just say that their view is wrong. Right, because what I'm saying is that, like, maybe this is too much implied, and maybe I need to make it more explicit. But what I'm trying to say with that third premise is that that if I want to be able to look back and be satisfied with my life, then the most rational thing, what I'm rationally committed to, is acting in accordance with virtue. Now, it could be the case that somebody could get to the end of their life and say that they're happy, you know, that they were like a serial killer or something. But I think that in that scenario, we're saying that this is somebody who, like, they already have contradictions in their worldview, saying like, it was, you know, okay for me, you know, to deny other people things that I wouldn't want them to deny from me, right? Like, I wouldn't want them to take those things away from me, but it was okay for me to take them away from them. And so we can just say that, like, yeah, we can't trust this person's ability to evaluate their life and determine whether or not they've reached eudaimonia, because they have this like contradiction built into their view, built into their evaluation process.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I feel like some people, not myself, but I think some people would just not really have the same kind of, I guess, intrinsic feeling of needing to be fair. I think that it's rational as long as you are not, as long as you are not caring about being fair. If you are the type of person who says, I am an agent and I feel as though I'm entitled to my freedom and well-being, I don't claim it to be an intrinsic right. I don't think that the right exists, but this is valuable to me because I value myself more than anybody else. So, and everybody should value themselves over everybody else.
Yeah, then that person just has a contradiction in their view, and therefore they're wrong.
Oh, what's the contradiction?
Yeah, because they're saying that they want that for themselves, and they're claiming it for themselves on the basis of their agency, and then they're denying other people have the same claim to the same rights based on even though they meet the same criteria that gave, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm saying that I'm X, therefore I'm entitled to Y, then I'm also rationally committed to the position that anyone else who is X is also entitled to Y. And if I deny anyone that other people who are X are entitled to Y, there's a contradiction in my view. But what I'm saying here is that part of eudaimonia, just to try to, because I feel like we're veering into that agency argument, and I'm trying to keep it focused on this eudaimonia and virtue thing. So if we're just talking about eudaimonia, part of what's entailed in eudaimonia is being able to rationally reflect on your life and be satisfied with it. And so if we're talking about someone who is like a sociopath or psychopath, or someone who just doesn't have the feeling that you're talking about, like, yeah, they may be able to reflect and be satisfied, but they wouldn't be able to rationally reflect and be satisfied, because they would require holding on to contradictory views in order to be able to continue being satisfied with the life that they've lived. And again, I want to be clear that I'm not saying that the goal here is like a desire for a particular, like an emotional desire for a particular outcome. I'm saying that the goal is like inherent to what it means to be a reflective agent. Inherent to what it means to be a reflective agent is seeking this ability to lead a good life that you can be rationally satisfied with, or reflectively satisfied with. And then I'm saying that that in order to get to that life that I can rationally be satisfied with, you know, reflectively, I would need to, like, the best way to try to, like, the best way to increase the odds of achieving that would be to act in accordance with virtue, even though there are people who could act without any virtue and think that they're satisfied with their life, but they lack the fundamental aspect of eudaimonia, which is being able to rationally reflect on their life and evaluate it.
Okay, I think my main contention with all of it is the word right. So
I haven't used the word right at all. I haven't used that word at all. That's why I'm saying I feel like you're veering into that other argument that is about agency and rights. I'm not using that word. That word doesn't appear in this argument at all.
Right. Well, because it would be, because your justification for it being with the contradiction, where they would be living a contradiction if they didn't live virtuously, it hinges, I think, on the other argument that you would give that does involve the word right, doesn't it?
Nope. No, I'm just saying any view that contains a contradiction is wrong, because contradictions can't be correct. That has nothing to do with. I know that that is like something that is used to defend that other view, but I don't think that it's exclusive to that or implies any of the other entailments of that argument.
All right. I'm just curious. Then, can you show the contradiction without using the word right? Because that was like my main contention is that if you want something for yourself, you could say that I would like this for myself, but I don't, just because I want it doesn't mean I have a right to it. You might claim a right for yourself, but it would be like subjective. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that is so. If a person says, I want this thing and I should be able to take it for myself, if we're saying, okay, is that a rational view, we would have to analyze on what basis they feel that they deserve to have access to this thing that they want. And if their basis, their foundation for from where they think they derive a rational ability to have access to this thing that they want, we would have to examine what they say. And so now if they're saying that I should be able to have it simply because I want it, then they're rationally committed to saying that any person or any being, any agent that wants something should have access to the thing that they want. So this is it basically just boils down to this kind of universalization or universalizability. So we're saying that, like, if I have the principle, I deserve access to X because of Y, or because I have Y, or the way that I was saying it earlier, if I have X, I deserve access to Y, then you would logically be committed to saying that any agent that has X is also, deserves to have access to Y. And so if we're saying that, like, I deserve to keep living because I want to keep living, but even though this other person wants to keep living, they don't deserve to, and I should be able to take their life away from them, that's just saying that there's a contradiction in that person's view of saying wanting to continue living is enough to give me to say that I should be able to keep living. However, other people wanting to keep living isn't enough to commit me to them being, still being able to continue living. And so you're just saying that, like, having X is enough to deserve Y in my case, but having X isn't enough to deserve Y in this other agent's case, and there's no mitigating difference that explains the gap there. So that would be contradictory, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with it being right. It just has to do with
the word deserve. The word deserve would be doing. I would say that. Oh, hang on, I'm connecting to Wi-Fi. Let me fix that. All right, I think that the word deserve there is kind of doing what the word right would be doing in its place.
Yeah, but I don't think that it matters, though. I don't think that it matters, though. All I'm saying is that, like, I'm X and Y is entailed from X. Then that would commit you to saying that any other agent who is X, Y is also entailed for that agent. And any of those situations are going to be, like, any of those situations where people are not acting virtuously are going to be situations where they're denying that X entails Y, even though while they also maintain that X entails Y.
Okay, how would you feel about this? Instead of saying I want X, therefore I deserve X, instead of saying that I want X, therefore I'm gonna try to get X. Not I deserve it. I don't have, like, I'm not deserving of anything. I don't have any rights.
Right.
I'm gonna try to get it.
That's what I'm saying. So you're saying, I have X, and entailed from that is I should be able to try to get X to get Y for myself.
Not that you should or you shouldn't, but that's what you're going to try to do.
Right, but you're saying that on the basis of X, I'm justified in trying to get Y for myself.
Yeah, like that would be just the explanatory power. Like, why are you trying to get X? Well, the reason is I want it. Yeah, like it just, yeah, in that way it would follow.
Right. So then you would be committed to saying that everyone who wants or has X has that it also entails that they should be able to try to get Y. And so then you would have to say that in any of those instances, it would be that you cannot stop them from trying to achieve that, because if you try to stop them from achieving that, there's now a contradiction in your view where you say X entails Y and X does not entail Y. I don't think that it matters what, like, I do think that you're you're focusing too much on the semantics here and not seeing the larger point that I'm making, that no matter what words we use to describe the desire or the right or the should or the ought or whatever words we use, all we're saying is the person that you're describing would be committed to X entails Y, and then their actions would commit them to X does not entail Y. So they're in totality, their view is X entails Y and X does not entail Y. That's a contradiction, therefore they're wrong.
I don't see the same contradiction that you see, because this is only coming from the purview of an individual. If the first person, yourself, is the only person that you're taking into account, and everybody else is doing what they're doing adjacent to you, then they're not even really a part of the equation. Like, they're gonna their why, it might be to stop me, and like that's fair enough. Like,
yeah, I don't
like that's their why.
I feel like we're talking past each other.
Potentially, I'm the bad up.
Well, no, because what's happening is, like, every time I'm trying to give like a specific example so I can show where the contradiction is, then you don't like the words that I'm using. So then I try to show it in another way without using any of those words, and now you're saying that it doesn't connect. But the only way for me to connect it to a scenario is to use the words that you don't want me to use.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Because I don't think that it necessarily carries over to other agents.
No, but it would have to, right? Because any reasoning that an agent uses to say, I'm X and Y is entailed from X, that would commit them to saying that anytime any agent is X, Y is entailed from it. And anytime they act in a way that is contrary to Y being entailed from X, they now have a contradiction in their view. So whether we want to use language about rights or desires or whatever language we want to use, it's just a matter of saying that X, they would be both committed to X is sufficient for Y and X is not sufficient for Y. That's a contradiction.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it down into when you put it down into symbolic logic, it is a contradiction. But I don't think that it's the same. I don't think that we're saying the same thing.
Well, I mean, just give me an example with the language that you'd be comfortable with so that I can respond to it.
Okay, let me see if I can think of something. So, let's say that I want to go get some bread, and let's say, so I'm gonna go get the bread, and Swiper the Fox, all that he wants to do is take things from people. He's from Dora the Explorer. Swiper the Fox wants to just take things from people, so he's gonna try to take my bread from me, and I want to stop him, so I'm gonna try to stop him, and he wants to like stop.
I need a much simpler scenario, man. I need just like I think that I should be able to whatever, or like I want to do this, because here's the thing though, it's always going to have this should language, because it's like you're saying like I want to get bread, so I'm going to try to get bread, is the same as saying I want to get bread, so I'm committed to the position that I should be able to go get bread. Does that make sense?
That I should be able to.
It would be a contradiction to say I want to have bread, but I don't think that I should be able to go get bread, because then you're saying that I want to go get bread, but I don't want the circumstances to be such that I can get bread, which is the same as saying I don't want to go get bread. So you're saying to say I want to go get bread, but I don't think that I should be able to go get bread is the same as saying I want to go get bread, but I don't want to go get bread.
As long as the should, let me think. So as long as the should is really just meaning, in order for me to be able to get bread, these need to be the circumstances.
Yeah, that's what I've meant the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay.
Sure.
So I want to go get bread, so I should be able to go get bread. And then the principle that we would have here is, if I want to do something, I should be able to do it. So then what that commits you to is, because you're wanting to do something is, grounded in your agency. So then the position you'd be committed to is my agency, or on the basis of my agency, I should be able to do the things that I want to do. So from saying I want to go get bread, so I should be able to go get bread, that entails the position, if I want to do something, I should be able to do it, which entails the position on the basis of my agency, I should be able to do the things that I want to do. Just using the should in the same way we were talking about. Okay. So now, if I'm committed to the position that on the basis of my agency, I should be able to do the things that I want to do, it would be a contradiction to say that other agents, on the basis of their agency, shouldn't be able to do the things that they want to do. The only way that I could be consistent is to say that for any agent, they should be able to do the things that they want to do. And anytime I act in a way that would prevent an agent from being able to do the thing that they want to do, there's a contradiction in my view.
So let me think. So if I want to go get bread, then the circumstances should be in such a way that I am able to get bread in order for that to occur. And somebody else wants to stop me from getting the bread. So if that's the case, then the circumstances need to be in a way that they can prevent me from doing it. Let me think here.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if this person, like, we're talking about a non-virtuous person, right? So we're saying that if this person says, I want to go get bread, so I should be able to go get bread, and then they say, my neighbor wants to go get bread, but I don't like that guy. He plays loud music sometimes and that I don't like. And so I would rather that he starve to death because I don't care about him. Now I'm committed to the position that my agency, or that agency, is sufficient to ground my, is sufficient to ground me saying I should be able to go get bread or do the things that I want to do. But then I would be denying that my neighbor's agency is sufficient for him to be able to go do the things that he wants to do.
Okay. I think I remember what I was going to say. So if you're saying that, like, your neighbor, he wants to get bread, and you want to prevent him from getting the bread for whatever reason, you could still say that he should be able to get bread, and be able to stop him from getting the bread, because what the should is descriptive. Like, if he wants the bread, he needs circumstances that are such a way that he can get the bread, but we don't care about his circumstances. Since the should is just descriptive of, like, what's necessary for him to get it.
No, because then there'd be a contradiction in our view saying that, because if I'm committed to the position that on the basis of my agency, I should be able to do the things I want to do, then I'm also committed to the position that for all agents, they should be able to do the things that they want to do. And if I do anything that prevents an agent from doing the thing that they want to do, then I have I'm doing a performative contradiction. I'm acting in a way that contradicts a principle that I am committed to.
I think we're talking past each other again. I definitely see where you're coming from, and I think that I think that it's like the word should is being changed again.
No, I did not change the word should. Nope.
Because the should is, I think we agreed that it is, if I want to accomplish X, in order for me to accomplish X, these need to be the circumstances. It's purely descriptive. It's not about...
okay, maybe I need to add another step in here. And this is... what we would say is, so if I'm committed to the position on the basis of my agency, I should be able to do the things that I want to do, then I'm also committed to the position that on the basis of my agency, others should not interfere with me being able to do the things that I want to do. Right? If I'm committed to the position that on the basis of my agency, I should be able to do the things that I want to do, then it seems reasonable to say that I'm also committed to the position that on the basis of my agency, others should not interfere with me being able to do the things that I want to do. Right? I'm committed to me being able to do, me having the situation, the circumstances present that allow me to do the things that I want to do. One of the circumstances that need to be present in order for me to be able to do the thing that I want to do is other people not stopping me from doing the thing that I want to do.
Right. Yeah. So you wouldn't want them to prevent you. They should not, because then you wouldn't be able to do the thing that you want to do. But I wouldn't say that this has like obligatory power.
No, it does, because, well, maybe not obligatory power, but what it's saying is that if I then take the view that other agents shouldn't, that it's okay to interfere with the process of other agents achieving the things that they want to do, there's a contradiction in my view. Because I'm saying that agency grounds not having your actions, to care. I'm committed to the position that agency grounds the ability to do the things that you want to do without interference, and agency doesn't ground the ability to do the things you want to do without interference.
It just is it's descriptive of what you want to be the case, is what it is.
No, it's a position that you're committed to, and then you're contradicting that position when looking at other situations that you don't have the same emotional attachment to, or same like personal goal associated with. It's simply saying that X is sufficient for Y. The agency X is sufficient for not being interfered with while in the process of doing the thing that I want to do. So what that means is that in all cases where X exists, in all cases where agency exists, Y also exists. And Y being that agent not being interfered with while attempting to do what they want to do. So from I want to go get bread, so I should be able to go get bread, we can derive that I'm committed to the position that agency is sufficient for me to not be interfered with while I carry out or agency is sufficient for an agent not to be interfered with while carrying out a goal. And if my position is that agency is sufficient for an agent to not be interfered with while attempting to carry out a goal, but I interfere with other agents' attempts to carry out their goals, there's a contradiction in my view.
Right. I think that does follow if should has obligatory power.
Nope.
But if should is just saying that if should is just saying that in order for me to get the bread, these need to be the circumstances. Other people can do what they want. They will do what they want, because nobody has obligation. But it would be great if this was the case.
But I'm not equivocating, though. I'm not. And I know, like, it just seems like you're saying I'm wrong because I'm equivocating, but I'm not equivocating. So it's a little bit frustrating because I'm not equivocating. I'm not changing how I'm using the word should. That is not happening. So please try to respond to what I'm saying without accusing me of equivocating. Because I promise you I'm using it exactly the same.
I might have to watch it back. But I actually have to go, Ogar.
Yeah, I mean, I should have probably ended like 20 minutes ago. Viewership has been dropping like fucking crazy since we've been talking about this, because it's not actually like the kind of debate that people would come here to watch. So it's an interesting conversation. It is something I like talking about. But yeah, I'm gonna end the live either way.
Yeah. You have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too. I love you. I love you.
I love you too. It's June. You can say that.
I don't care either way.
Yeah, I'll love you in July.
Indeed. All right. Sober. The agency thing is not an issue for animals, because we're saying that animals have moral rights in that they're moral patients, but they don't have moral obligations because they're not moral agents. So that would be the difference. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all. I've been live for like 3 hours and 15 minutes. Anyway, thanks everybody. Thank you, Lobes, for the interesting conversation and on morals, which is something I've also been thinking about a lot, so I appreciate it. But yeah, I will go ahead and end. As I always say, remember, everybody, tomorrow's not guaranteed. So make sure that you take all the opportunities you have to let your family and friends know how much they mean to you.